4 is worse than the Boo movie. It just retreads old ground. It's not good.
Well, if you're comparing that to the P movie, I mean, the bees go to court and fly a plane and they have relationships. That's horrendous. What in Shrek is worse than that?
I will tell you what's worse.
Well, you can save that for another time because today we're actually going over Pixar, not DreamWorks. So you two can quiet down on that. Welcome everybody to
Fine.
this episode of the Cheap Seat Critics
Fine.
podcast, where we're trying something quite different out of the ordinary going through movies and shows that we normally do. We're going through a tier list this time, spice it up a bit. With me today we have,
Hello, everybody. I'm a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
and I'm Sprinks. And we decided that just something to start off with this tier list would be going over the 26 Pixar Animation Studios films or feature films.
All right. It could be worse. This is a
Well,
good way to start.
DreamWorks can be another time, writer. Um,
Socials.
let's start off with how we normally do with a history on Pixar. Crimson, what's your history on Pixar?
Well, I watched. So when this concept came up, one the 26 Pixar movies, I checked to see how many I had seen before this, and I saw 19. I was missing seven, and I watched a lot of the older ones when I was a kid, like Bugs Life, Toy Story, all that stuff. I didn't frequently watch them. They weren't like a weekly thing I saw as a kiddo, but they were generally enjoyable for me. And it was a kind of a fun idea to do this today. So I did watch three of the ones I of the seven I hadn't. So I'm a little bit more knowledgeable when we talk about more subjects.
Gotcha. All right. Before we go to writer, let me pick up what I accidentally slipped up on. You can follow us on our social media platforms we have. We are at Cheap Seat Critics on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Cheap Seat Critics Podcast over on Facebook. And we are also on youtube.com/at Cheap Seat Critics if you'd like to actually see the images we have on our normal movie and slash show, whatever we're covering, slideshow. But for today, it's the tier list we have and see our little, PNG tubers move around. We also have a letterbox if you're interested in more of the averaged out math that we have and the graphs of the pod as well. But yeah, writer, what's your history with Pixar?
Uh, I think it's fairly similar for most of us. I grew up a lot on Toy Story, as most of us did. Toy Story, Monsters Inc. I think were the two main ones that I watched growing up, and then The Incredibles was introduced to that. So um, it wasn't and it was a lot of had a lot of fun. I think the only toys I never had any Toy Story toys, but the only toy I ever owned from a Pixar movie I think was a Wally that I ended up getting while I was at Disneyland when I was a kid. Um, and yeah, I got a lot of history with Pixar. The studio is a bit has been a little on the downturn for me lately, but I still think overall they do produce decent movies. So a good place to start, I think, for us.
Okay. And I guess we'll go with my history of Pixar. I grew up with them ever since I was a child, or as Crimson puts it, a little kiddo. I was fixated on Toy Story. I could not stop watching Toy Story. I could not stop watching Toy Story 2. I got to go to Toy Story on Ice, and before it even started and the lights went down, I was screaming Buzz and Woody from the stands. So I'm pretty big. Toy Story is big in my childhood, but again, with all the other ones of Bugs Life and Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., I think I've stuck with Pixar through and through, and I feel, at least to me, I stopped really like being, hey, new Pixar movie, gotta go watch it after Toy Story 3 came out. And then it's like, oh, new Pixar movie's going out. I'll see it eventually kind of feel happened. And I guess maybe that's just growing up a little more.
Hmm.
But as of now, I can say I have seen all 26 Pixar films. And I would say I am a fan of Pixar films. Um, I'll also start with saying that I have seen all 26, and in preparation for this coverage of the podcast, I rewatched Wally. I watched Cars 3 for the first time, and I rewatched Toy Story 4, which I haven't seen since opening weekend in theaters.
Yeah, I guess in preparation for the podcast, I hadn't seen 4 movies, and I managed to watch 3 of them, and I rewatched another one because I barely remembered it. Um, I hadn't seen Luca, I hadn't seen The Good Dinosaur, and I hadn't seen Onward. So I watched all those, and I rewatched Monsters Inc. University. So
Gotcha. And Crimson, your preparation.
I saw Cars 3 for the first time, Inside Out for the first time, and shoot, what was the other one? Uh,
Must have been
great
a good one
memory.
if you can't remember.
Oh, Brave. That's what it was. And Brave for the first time. I
Mhm.
reiterate. So those were the three I watched for this.
Gotcha. All right. Well, normally we go next to like facts that we have, and I the only fact I have is Pixar was founded February 3rd, 1986 in Richmond, California. Because every other fact I figured would go to a specific Pixar film. So
Yeah, that's fair.
not a really facts on that. So I think we can begin, and we are going from descending order from the newest to oldest because the first two newest ones we have covered on the podcast before. So
Yeah, this should be easy, right?
Easy
hopefully
peasy.
a good stepping stone to begin with. So the first film we have, number 26, is Lightyear.
I'm I'm going with D. It's just
It's a D.
I
Oh,
Uh,
mean,
actually, I apologize. I should probably put this out that when we come to our ratings and everything, it's not for this specific for the tier because there's no. I mean, the whole thing's ratings, but when it comes to deciding where to put things, we're using both objective and subjective to put stuff where we think it should go. It's not one or the other.
yeah.
Just to help in case that's confusing at all. So, so Ryder, you say D, huh?
Yeah, I say D. It doesn't age well. It won't age well. And while the animation is pretty, the story kind of fucking sucked. So I don't know. I felt more insulted when Buzz said "Not today, Zurg." I didn't pump my fist in the air. I was more disappointed because the movie didn't earn the line. So
Well,
that is
I
true.
disagree. Well,
Shocked. I'm
no.
shocked.
Well, I kind of agree with that. Yes, it's not fully deserved by taking everything from already stated Toy Story Buzz Lightyear action figure to Lightyear film. Yes, but as an
but
overall whole, I think it's better than a D.
it explicitly states though that it's a part of the Toy Story universe. That's what the whole opening credits are about.
Yeah, but we've discussed that it's pretty much BS. It's a remake of the original Buzz Lightyear Star Command
That
movie,
sounds like
and that's
opinion
it's
to me.
certainly an opinion, and I can state my opinions here. I think it's better than a D. I don't see it as an S. Absolutely not. It's not an A. I could settle for a B, but I am content putting it in a C.
Uh, I'm. It's gonna be hard to move me up from D here. Like I said, I agree. It's not an F. I don't think it's the worst Pixar movie ever, but
No,
it's
there are worse ones than Lightyear.
yeah, it is. But it was insultingly bad. Like it was. I I take issue when maybe it's just because I'm traumatized by The Last Jedi, but I take issues when films shit on my childhood to such a degree that it almost ruins it tries to ruin already content that was existing, which is Toy Story. We already had Buzz Lightyear's story within that context. This is just it was not good, man. It's not good.
Crimson, what do you
Um,
say on the
for
subject?
yeah, for me, I was thinking a C. Objectively, it's pretty bad, but it's not an unenjoyable thing to watch. I think it's watchable. So I think C is in a watchable category for me. So I think C is where I would put it.
Let's see. Well, I'm just trying to think if it's right. You're putting it at a D, and there's films worse than that. I don't think you'd pair. I feel I'm I'm cautious what you would put with Lightyear as a D. Like, what would you put that matches it? And I yeah, but I mean that's looking to the future, but still,
Well, you'll see as we go along.
yeah. So, writer, are you
Uh,
fine selling it for a C, or you still want to push for that D?
mm, mm,
Like the animation, it's being the newest one. The animation's really good looking.
it's
The
true.
voice
Animation's
acting's
nice.
decent.
Plus, there's socks.
I
Are
am
socks a D?
I do appreciate their attempt to incorporate mathematics while they're doing hyper light fuel shit. Um, hmm. Yeah, I'll settle for a C.
Okay. The reason it can't be a B is because of what was it? Shields, laser shield.
Laser
That's
shield.
the that's the reason it can't be a B.
It's just a reason. Anyway, so Lightyear at a C. Following that, we have number 25, Turning Red. Now, to me, I think Turning Red is worse than Lightyear.
Oh,
That's funny. I think this is a solid C.
You think it's
I do. Yeah.
so you're
It was
thinking Turning
more.
Red's a D then, Sprinks?
in
Or
compare?
just a
Yeah,
lesser C for
a well less than Lightyear. I'd be fine settling it with Lightyear. So something to put it. I don't have a set tier list already made of where I have all 26 films ranked or listed. What I
yeah.
do going into this is where something is placed. I'm going to judge accordingly to what is already listed in a place. So I think Turning Red's worse, so I can't see it getting to a B.
Yeah, I would never put Turning Red into B. I listed as C is for what I think because I actually think there is some worthwhile character stuff in here. They do miss the beat on quite a few things. They over exaggerate the teenage boy band aspect of it. But as for the main character, she is quite likable to a degree. Her parents are also good characters in the few moments that we get with them. And there is, yeah, I stand by that. Turning Red's a C to me.
And
I
Crimson, what do you
also
think?
agree. I'm also a C person. I liked the parents as well, Ming and Jin. They were both likable. May herself was kind of annoying, but an acceptable annoying for the most part, other than what
Yeah.
we underlined in the podcast.
Yeah.
Plug. Um, but
Well,
the
yes, Lightyear and Turning
overall
Red we've
movie
covered.
is watchable. I can see watching it again, which I think I echoed in it. So I think
Okay.
a C is
So after
fair.
what you just
And
said with
I
Lightyear
would rather
before.
watch Turning Red than Lightyear.
Oh,
Since
okay.
Yeah.
you put it out
Same.
there.
I'm in that group as well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it'll go to a C. Um shoot, what was it? What you just said, Crimson, if something's a D, would you say that you would not want to watch it again?
That is my mindset. Yeah,
Okay.
D is I'd have to be shoved into watching it, and then
F
F
is
is
I'm
I will
walking out of
not
the
watch
room.
it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm walking out of the
that's how
room,
I'm
getting
approaching
alcohol.
my ratings for
That,
these.
that's fair. Yeah, I guess mine is probably similar. I would probably get alcohol to watch anything that's D or below. C I can be talked into. B, A, and S is probably things I would probably just watch on my own time or watch to enjoy.
Okay. I think I'm pretty much in the same boat. F, I would see it's on and walk away. D, if I had,
F is for fuck this shit. I'm out.
yeah, D, I might. watch 10 minutes and then think of something else to do. C, I might sit down. And then if it's an S, I'll probably set aside whatever I'm doing to watch the S, I think.
That's fair.
Anyway, so turning red, C. Next up, number 24, we have Luca.
All right, so I have not seen Luca, so I'm going to pop my headset off so I don't hear any potential spoilers, and the guys will wave me back in once you're done.
Well, yeah, okay. I
Yeah, all right.
figured you could also deafen, right? That the uh,
Definitely.
I don't know,
I mean, I wouldn't know
but
when you're done
that's true.
anyways.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll,
either
I'll just
or,
I'll just I'll just at you in the Discord. It's okay.
Yep,
all
I'm
good.
taking it
Yeah.
off.
There's 4 of these Crimson hasn't seen, so he doesn't want to be spoiled on them. Is all.
Yeah.
So,
Um.
Ryder, you and I get to decide where Luca goes.
Yeah, this is gonna be either very easy or very not.
Okay.
Um.
Should I go first where I think it should be?
Uh. Yeah, I've kind of gone first, so yeah,
I think
take it away.
I think Luca is a B. It's a cute.
Really?
It's a cute movie. It's a pretty easy plot. It's dealing with family and change and making friends and something I've kind of noticed also with newer Pixar movies. I guess Lightyear's kind of the only difference. The newer movies don't exactly have villains. They have just kind of like jerks and bad guys. They don't really have a villain character like the older ones do.
Hmm.
And I think that just gives a different tone and approach to the film and feels like it's more on like a lesson of like what's been being shown in the movie. And I think Luca demonstrated that very well with unfortunately I haven't seen it in a while, but Luca and his parents and then was
The
it
very
Bruno?
characterized angry Italian man.
Yeah, Silenzio Bruno. Um I forget his name, the one with the moped, but about his
Yeah.
father, and then that connects to Luca and how his family is, and then the father character also of the redhead girl,
Hmm.
um, being shown as also being accepting of her 2 friends. So it's a lot to do with family. And I think
Yeah.
it's not the overarching thing that keeps getting in the way. It's just kind of in the background or
It's
present,
one of
and
the
it's not
it's one of the
ignored.
themes of the
Yeah,
movie. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm actually not too far from you. I was bouncing between A and B for this one. This is one of the movies I watched in preparation for the podcast. I was kind of falling out of it in the first 20-15 minutes. I didn't find it all that interesting. But then I kind of realized the point of the story, what it was, and I kind of reinvigorated me to kind of get to the end. And I actually found myself enjoying myself in this movie. I think the only things that are preventing it from being an S tier are just the opening felt very static.
it's pretty
Um,
slow.
yeah, it's very static. It's very slow. It's when he meets his friend. I'm forgetting his name. Luca's first friend, who's like already a surface going fish. It was up until that point. It's a little on the boring end, but I thought it was everything comes together to a whole. Where I thought the friendship they make with Juliet is very well founded. I kind of like the differences that it portrays in like Juliet teaching Luca the real things about the world, where from his friend he's getting like his own isolated perspective of the world, like how all the stars are fish and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that was really. It's also I found that very wholesome. It also touches on like the some of the bigger themes, which is like learning to let go of your friends sometimes and a lot on the family as well, because friends drift apart and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot thematically happening in this movie.
Yeah, and to accept
Um,
change. And,
yeah, I do think that it can be a bit on the self indulgent side. As I said, the opening is not really grabby. Doesn't grab you and pull you in. It can be on the boring side.
well,
But I think once
I guess I
you're,
can see that with you because when it comes to writing, the world building is something you quite latch onto, and the beginning is very much just the underwater sea before getting topside, and
I mean,
it's
like
not
we
shown
are.
till later. But
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, we are. It is a certain world building that we're getting, just what life is like under the sea. But that's not the point of the movie. And while we're down there, we don't really see much happening other than Luca guiding fish around, like he's a herder almost.
yeah, And as soon as it gets
Um,
topside, you don't revisit it.
yeah. So the only relevance that it has is when they're helping Juliet's dad fish. Like the fact that they just
Yeah.
happen to know fish very well. Um,
Also, for me, when it comes to Pixar movies, I think something that help, and quite a few Pixar movies do this, but something that helps is if you get emotion from it. If the payoff of the film is emotional, and a lot of Pixar movies, I do believe, do that in some way or form. And Luca, to me, was one of those movies that does.
yes.
As in previous, Lightyear was very much just nostalgic feeling. I didn't really get a payout and feel, and then Turning Red,
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything.
Yeah. So I was kind of sitting on a low A for Luca. So I guess for you to ask you, what is preventing Luca from being an A in your mind?
For me, it would be matching it with other movies that I think are an A, and I don't think Luca
Okay.
matches with those.
Yeah, I'm tending to agree. I think I'll lower mine to a B.
Okay,
That's a fair place to put Luca. All right. I'll add our boy
you
Crimson.
got it. Luca at a B.
All
All
right.
right. That was longer
We had a lot to
Yeah.
talk
discussion.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Uh,
did you guys land on?
Luca's a B.
All right.
Yeah. I kind of went in with a low A, high B kind of feeling, so it didn't take much to move me, but we wanted to get our thoughts out there about the movie. So
Next one is Soul, and I think for number
I'll be
23 is
opting
Soul.
out.
Yep, that's one I knew Crimson had not
Good
seen
luck,
yet.
guys. All
oh
right.
well.
Have fun.
All right. uh,
All right, do you want to begin
uh,
this one?
oh, all right. Yeah, I'll start this one. This one was very, very hard for me, because this is like I really loved this movie, and I still do. Um, and I had to think on it really hard. I don't think it's an S tier, and I think it's just barely not an S tier. This is definitely A tier though for me. The reason this is an A, is I'm an artist, and so is Sprinks, and so is Crimson, and so is Sinister when he's here. So
But when he's not here, not an
yeah,
artist.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like I think this movie hit me in a very, very specific niche way that only someone with extreme extravagant passion could understand. The movie Soul is entirely about finding something that fulfills your soul and just doing it because it fulfills your soul. That's partially what the story is about. It's finding something that's soul fulfilling. And then how your passion can inspire that in you. Obviously, the plot is a jazz pianist pretty much dies and finds himself trapped
I
in
mean, we don't have
a
to reiterate the whole movie,
yeah,
but
yeah, no, yeah, he traps himself in purgatory. And he gets essentially a partner who has uh nothing at the beginning of the movie. Like they don't have anything that ignites their soul. Um, and then over the course of the movie, they find that with the help of our main protagonist, who's the artist, the pianist, and it hit me in a very, very specific way. This was a hard not giving an S for me.
okay. Okay. I'm in agreement with you. I would not put Soul as an S. I'll say that. But to me, I do believe it's an A movie. I remember my first time watching this. I think I think you saw it before me, and I watched it, and then I texted you immediately after that I watched it.
Uh, I think so, yeah, because I think I told you like, holy shit, I
Yeah,
cried, that kind of thing.
I was weeping. It was a very emotionally hit me in my soul movie, and it's also out of all 26 Pixar movies, I think it's the most adult Pixar movie. I find it weird pitching it to a child, like it's a kid movie. I
Yeah,
I would not call it a kid movie, um, because of the matter of it. But
I
it's
think,
still, yeah.
yeah,
I don't think a kid. I think they'd get the like all the lights and the jazz music and all the things to keep them entertained, but the message of it and the payoff feel, I don't think hits, and it might be in that vein of Shrek is a not a very good example for this, but I mean, like, it's a funny cartoon movie, but then as an adult, you get all the adult jokes out of it.
Yeah,
I feel like
Shrek
Soul
is
does that
sh
for a far more dramatic and drama
yeah.
feel.
Yeah, Shrek is a good choice for that. Shrek is like it's definitely made for everyone in the best way possible. Like there's something there for every age. And Soul is similar in a way, but as you say, it's drama related. And yeah, like I said, I it was hard for me not to put this one in S tier, and but I as I said, I settled with A on this one because it is a very very good movie, and I still think about it sometimes, and I send this movie to all my artist friends.
Gotcha. Okay, well then we're both in agreement that it's an A.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. All right, now we can get Crimson back in because I know he's seen the next one.
Mm. It was honestly, I think it's just funny that we brought him in for the joke.
Oh, of bringing him in and leaving him automatically
Yeah,
knowing?
dip
Yeah.
right in, had to dip right
No, no,
out. That
no.
was
That was
totally
good.
on purpose.
Hilarious.
Yeah. All right, next one you actually can be
Yeah.
here for, buddy.
So Crimson, we
Hey.
put Soul as an A.
Okay.
Next, number 22, we have Onward.
Hey, I've seen that.
Well,
Uh,
Crimson, we'll let you begin then.
um, Fortunately, I don't have the best memory of it, but I gave this one a C, like a high C, if there's a such thing. Um, I found myself not too engaged with the two brothers. Chris Pratt's character was fun, but the actual plot of the father or father, it goes to pants, whatever, the legs, um, and their journey was was okay, average. I didn't get much emotion out of it like usually I want going into a Pixar film. They usually are pretty good at drawing some emotion out of you.
Mhm.
Onward didn't do that for me. I don't know if its intentions were to do that, but it felt normal to me. Felt like an average film.
Let's see. Okay. I I believe Onward is a movie I showed you, Crimson.
That is correct.
Unfortunately, I feel Onward kind of got a bad rap because it was in theaters, I believe, for 2 weeks before theaters went down due to COVID. So it's a bit unfortunate of the box office it got out of it and went to Disney Plus because of it. But for me, Onward is a B, and it resonates with me because I do have a brother, and that feeling of just trying to connect with your brother and the father situation. I think it's such a great idea that the dad is just legs and can't speak because all thoughts of like what to do with the dad or how to get with the dad or whatever, especially being Ian, it it was a baby when his dad passed and never really got around to talk to him, and the drive for that versus the Chris Pratt older brother, I forget his name of the character.
Yeah. He abandoned his
But
brother. He abandoned his parental figure at the deathbed again, like he did in Guardians. But that's okay.
well, yeah, it was just scary, and unfortunately, I have history, which is why I think I have it as B because I have history of someone in my family being in that situation.
Mm.
Um, so it connects with me in that way. But it's also a story of the brothers and getting to know each other on a road trip adventure. And I think the setting was also just I really enjoyed the modern take on fantasy, and how magic is kind of just sidelined and not thought about, and like all these things around it. So I would put it as a B.
So, I saw this movie. Uh, no, I think this was one of the movies I rewatched. It was I came into it as a C. Unfortunately, I left this movie as a D. Um, I don't think the dynamic of the brothers was particularly strong or interesting. I know what they're trying to do, and I honestly could cite Luca doing something similar better. Um, but this one was, while I enjoyed like the concept of the world of like, fantasy imposed on I guess the modern world. If I think Bright does it better, that's a fucking problem.
Oof.
Um this movie has so many this the movie's plot is built on contrivance after contrivance after contrivance, and it was annoying to the degree of frustration for me. And the quest doesn't make sense. Um the idea that they're doing this for one singular Phoenix gem doesn't make sense. I would assume like they were gonna arrive in like a dwarven mine and they would just grab one, pluck it out, but there's just one, which makes it worse at the end. Like the idea that this was a quest that everybody knew they could go on, and then there was only one Phoenix gem at the end of it. Um, I don't think any of the side stories are particularly interesting or invigorating. The mom and the Manticore is a pathetic side story, to say the least. Nothing interesting comes out of that. Other than that, we know that she cares for her children, and no story has to work very hard in order to convince us of that. But they, it fucks up in the sense of like sh- she has a cell phone. I'm pretty sure her kids do too, and doesn't ever once considering calling them or anything. And it's just stuff like that that bleeds into the rest of the story. Um, as for the characters, like I said, I recognize the concept they're trying to do. There is something here, which is why it's not an F for me, or and why it's sitting in a D category.
Wow.
Because yeah, in that like uh the payoff of Ian giving up, not seeing his father to his older brother, so he's the one he gets his closure. Um, I think that's a very very impactful ending, and I do think in isolation it is good. The problem is everything leading up to that is a mess, and it was it's kind of sad because this is a movie I want to like because I love a lot of things in concept, but nothing here was executed well.
Wow. Jeez. So that's a B, C, and a D. I don't agree with a D because that would mean that it's worse than Lightyear and Turning Red. Don't agree with that.
Well, no, it's on par with Lightyear for me.
So that would be a C. Where we put? I mean, yeah, you did give Lightyear a D before. Man, I mean, well, something also with the tiers. Um, so things in C are equal to. I mean, we've discussed, but it's
Yeah,
not like
yeah,
like far
generally,
left
yeah.
C is the best of the C's or whatever. It's just all one section.
Like I
Uh,
said, I entered this thinking C. I left it thinking it was a D. So I won't like it, but C is the highest you're gonna convince me this deserves to go.
Gosh, I guess I'm fine. Okay, I guess I'm fine putting it in a C, even though I think it's more equal to Luca than Turning Red. But okay,
Glad you bring that up. I was going to compare it to Turning Red, where I'd probably watch them at the same level,
you would. Oh man,
Yeah.
man, I guess I'm the odd one out then. Okay, okay. I mean, if it's
but I would watch Onward over Lightyear. I don't know. I would do
okay, I guess we'll put it in C then, if that's what we've agreed upon, or if Ryder's
Yeah.
fine with
Yeah,
that.
I'm
And
good with that.
I'm not happy about it being C, but I'll leave it to C because I like I said, it's a compromise with you because like I said, you have a very personal attachment to the concepts. I didn't have any personal attachment to the concepts, even though I understand what they're trying to do. So I think a C is a fair compromise.
okay, okay. And also, again, it is Onward is a movie that gave me an emotional response at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, on to number 21. This one exciting. Toy Story 4.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Burn burn.
Yeah, I rewatched this one because I said I hadn't seen it since opening weekend, so I rewatched this one for preparation for this. Oh boy, it's beautiful looking. The animation's really good. The lighting's really cool. The The voice
Yeah,
acting's nice. They got
it's good.
Keanu Reeves
Yeah.
in there. They got Mel Brooks and Betty White are in there as little
Yeah, shame nothing
cameos.
else works though, right?
Yeah, it's not. Looks good. Forky sucks. I'm sorry, Forky is a bad character. They
Forky's a
made
character.
yeah, they made Buzz dumber. I didn't realize how dumb they made
Oh, he's
Buzz.
brain dead.
Oh
They
yeah,
made
you
him.
didn't. That's what pissed me off
They
so
made him
much about this movie.
stupid. And
He pressed a
also,
button to tell me what to do because I
also,
had no agency in the other
yeah,
movie.
exactly. This whole conscience thing. I don't
Oh,
know how much you guys remember Toy Story 3, but at the beginning, well, at the beginning of Toy Story 4, it shows how Bo Peep left, and
yeah.
it's like nine years beforehand, and Andy's still a kid.
Yeah,
There is a part where Woody almost
it's
decides to
about to
get
enter
in
the
the
box.
box and
Freaking
leave.
nuts.
That damages the entirety of his character in Toy Story 3.
Yeah, it damages the whole
It's
franchise.
it's oh man, it's bad in that regards. It's so upsetting. But I love
I
Toy Story.
I like I said, I have made this claim and I still stand by it. Toy Story 4 is the last Jedi of the Toy Story franchise.
I mean,
It is
it
visually
is it's the
beautiful.
yes, it is
It
story
has
wise,
aspects of which
it's
I
the
like, but
worst of
it's
the four. Yeah, it looks good. It's also a movie that doesn't necessarily have a villain.
Gabby
What was
Gabby's
I
a
talking?
villain.
I think Crimson. This was
no, she's
one
a
you were out
victim.
of.
Weren't you paying attention, Crimson?
Well, Crimson
Protagonists
may
can
have
be
had his thing.
victims.
Yeah, Crimson may have had his thing off, but I stated that more of these more recent more recent Pixar movies don't necessarily really have a villain. They just have like a jerk character, and
Yeah,
I
They're
think
a
that's
damaged character
those.
that has
yeah,
relatable.
and I
Yeah.
think that's kind of used just to give more of the message or theme across than good versus bad. And Toy Story 4 is one of those movies that has that.
Yeah. So
Uh,
I'll throw out my placement. This is the only movie I had put down as an F.
really,
I can't stand this movie.
I was
I find nothing redeemable about this.
nothing.
The visuals, that's all surface level nonsense. That doesn't matter. The story and characters sucked in this. Um,
yeah.
like you said, Buzz is dumb. Woody is not Woody. The other characters are sidelined.
I look. I
The
hate
two
to say it.
bunnies are
I
irrelevant.
I hate to say it, and people are not gonna like this. They made Woody a simp in this movie.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
He
no,
only
no, I
cares about
agree.
Bo,
He
and
ditched his
it's
entire
unfortunate.
personality and friends for Bo Peep.
Yeah, remember that wonderful, loving partnership, friendship with Buzz that he had? Man,
Yeah.
that was
Now,
worthless.
now people can fight that Woody is still all about the child, which he was with Andy, and he's with
I called them a
Bonnie.
liar or stupid.
Well, with Bonnie, that's why he's doing this whole thing about Forky because of how much joy Forky gives Bonnie. That's fair. I think that's still fair. That's still in Woody's character to help out the child. But to ignore the
I've only
rest
kept
of
one
his
trait,
friends, to ignore the rest of his friends is not accurate.
Yeah, I'm happy they gave that one trait survived. I guess there's that.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, I do like. I mean, Randy
I
Newman came
didn't
back
like
with
Bo Peep
music.
in this
The
either.
Randy Newman score is good. Uh, yeah, Bo Peep as a character is very different. She looks very cool. The animation to make her look porcelain is very nice, and like the shine on her, which also just goes into the look. Um, shoot, I would not give it an F. The ri-
What would have
the
to
story and
qualify as
writing
an
isn't.
F?
If the animation was bad,
Yeah,
if it
there's no
looked
visual.
buggy, I mean, if the music,
Come on.
I'm, I see what you're fighting for, but I'm trying to incorporate. I mean, I always try to incorporate everything rather than just the story. Um, I can't agree. The
Visuals is
story
a
it
gimme
is.
nowadays.
I,
That's like a
look.
guarantee.
I'm agreeing with you that it is one of the worst stories. It's a really bad story. It's an effing story. Um, it's not good, but I personally would put it at a D, especially after just rewatching it.
I can't
oh,
see you ever making an F for any Pixar movie in the future. Then they'd
Look,
have to
I will
make
say,
a visually
no,
ugly movie
I'm
in
gonna
order for
let you
them to
actually,
know.
do that.
Well,
there's
the
we have
thing
hope
is,
for one more.
there
Let's
is a
sprinkle in that.
movie to me that is worse than Toy Story 4, if that helps. on this
That doesn't
list.
tell me that would be an F.
I'm not going to tell you what it is, but
Yeah, so I've thought a lot of this movie. I've seen a lot of criticism about this movie, and this is the one I was half and half on. I was torn between F and D. Um, I think,
Because you're the deciding factor.
yeah, I think I'm gonna settle with F.
an F. Okay.
Uh,
It's hard. I like
it is
I
Pixar so much. It's hard for me to think of
the
any of
reason
them as
the
an
reason I'm
F
settling this as an
quality,
F is
but
because the next one that I know is coming, they're not equivalent.
oh, I know movies worse than this. That's the thing. I'm sorry. I thought it was one. There's one apparent one, but there was also another one that I think is worse, and I just don't feel. I would not pair them together. Is the thing.
we'll get to that, I guess. I mean,
I
Okay.
guess we'll get to
Well,
that.
things can be restructured in this if we something else comes up and someone makes a good argument, right? Things
that
Yeah.
can move.
okay. We can remove. I'll be fine with that. But
Things can move.
okay, right. So we
Yeah.
have Toy Story
But
4 as an F.
me personally, I couldn't go to a D just because visuals. That's not a good enough reason for me. So
The visuals, the
I,
score, the IP,
the IP is
voice
irrelevant.
the
acting.
Why
IP
is
is
that
relevant.
relevant?
I mean, okay,
Well,
I mean that's why I compare this to the Last Jedi all the time. Yeah, sure, it's a Star Wars IP. Still fucking hate it.
I'm judging it on what it is and how
Yeah,
the characters were.
okay.
and
And the characters are not
and
themselves in
let's
this.
let's not let's not get into how fucked the world building is in Toy Story 4. The
This is a
idea that
carnival.
yeah, the idea that like anything can become
Fork.
sentient due to a child's love. The
That's
idea of
true.
the idea of what see the rumors I've heard about Toy Story 5 and more have only worried me just
I'm very
because
worried about 5.
they're delving into like even more the hardcore the concept of how toys can come to life. And I'm just like, no, no, it was fine. Don't do anything.
I
Yeah.
haven't heard any of those
I
rumors.
Toy Story 4 I am very oh man, I'm cautious for. Also what I know after Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4 was essentially made as a cash grab.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's blatant.
I think Toy Story 3 is we'll get there, I guess,
We'll
in
get
depth,
yeah.
but, yeah, yeah, I was like, I think Toy Story 3 was fine. I think it was good. I like, it still it had its missteps, but it still wrapped it all in a neat bow, and then we had this. It was like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Okay.
Why?"
All right. Toy
Yeah,
Story 4 and F can move. Any of these can move.
Yeah,
yeah.
any of these
But
can move.
okay. On to the next one. Number 20, we have The Incredibles 2. Now for me, I think Incredibles 2 is worse than Toy Story 4.
Okay. Would that be a D or an F for you?
Well, if Toy Story 4 was a D, I'd put Incredibles 2 as an F. But right now, with Toy Story 4 as an F, I would pair it with it.
R mm, alright, that's fair.
The bad guy
Uh,
is so lame. It's
yeah, her
blatantly obvious
the
who it
yeah,
is.
her isn't the acronym for her name, like, Bad Intent or something Bad Intention or something? I don't remember the acronym. Her acronym is so terrible and blatant.
Of
Evelyn,
Screenslaver?
Oh,
right? It's
Oh,
like Evelyn.
her name.
yeah, it's like, it was Evelyn, like, Evelyn something, it was, like, her first name and last name, like, the acronym for it was, like, a her
Nefarious or something.
yeah, Nefarious, yeah.
I like that they gave Jack more screen time than he did in the first movie, even though he's still a baby. I don't like. I actually don't like the animation as much as the first movie. Violet, the whole thing of Violet and the boyfriend does not look good to me. I don't know what it is about that part. I think things
Well,
not
they
inside the
changed the boyfriend.
yeah. I think
He looks
things
different.
not in the super suit don't look good or as good as the first movie to me.
I think overall the animation is a step up. My problem with outside of it being horribly written, probably boil down to the failed promise on Incredibles 1. The idea of we're finally gonna see our them team up and together, you know? And the first thing they do is split up gang and look for clues. In the opening battle, and I was already annoyed. Like Violet's using powers that she only got used to like the day before, like in
Get
like with
yeah.
precise expertise,
That's true.
and it's there's a lot in this film that's bad. Um,
I think
I,
it's
They
also
they
it
want
it
sorry.
takes it starts. There's no time jump. It starts exactly where the first one ended. So the change in characters, which I'm focusing on Bob right now, the change in character had no time to show change. It's the same
it's
present
reset.
day.
Yeah,
Bob feels like a different character. Yes, he's now a
Oh yeah.
stay-at-home dad and everything, but he is completely different from his whole training and the whole syndrome fight and in the character development he had in the first movie to this one. I think if they took out the Underminer and then it said, okay, you know, 2-year change or 6 months later, depending, if they want to keep everyone around the same age, so maybe 6 months later, so Jack is still a baby.
mhm.
They could have done it that way, so we don't know what happened in that 6 months to change the character, but I think it would have been more accepted that way. But they didn't.
My problem with Bob is it's a regression. Like it's it's just a restructuring in the same character he was in Incredibles 1 there without any of the growth. The whole point of Incredibles 1 is growing and learning to trust his team, like his family, to let them share in his burdens. And they kind of just invert that again for this movie.
Um,
Look, I'd say
yeah, for
I think it's an F.
for me, I did it as a D, but I'm totally willing to give it an F. I would watch this over Toy Story 4, but I can easily be talked down to an F. For me, this is it's like they wanted an Elastigirl movie, but they knew they had to involve the family. So a lot of the family stuff that's not involving Elastigirl, it kind of is pretty trash. I think,
I feel like what they
like you
sh
said with Bob,
Yeah.
pointless. The Jack stuff is just a waste of time. Dash isn't really a character in
No,
this.
Dash is barely
He
in
does
there.
schoolwork. Violet's stuff is just filler.
Violet's just
Meanwhile, in
teenage
the
drama stuff without anything.
Yeah.
yeah, in the first movie, Mr. Incredible is the main character, but the family was also important to the plot. They were relevant. They were doing
I
And
things.
they
think if
also
they
were learning and
wanted
growing his journey.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think if they
Yeah,
wanted more Elastigirl solo stuff, they could have done flashbacks or past of her doing solo work like they did with Mr. Incredible at the beginning of the first movie.
Mhm. I'd have been okay with that if we were getting a sort of quote unquote prequel with Elastigirl, or again as you say with flashbacks. Uh, I guess like you, Crimson, I had this at D, because I would watch this over Toy Story 4. Um,
but I'm perfectly willing giving it an
yeah,
F.
I'm not going to be guilty at all giving it an F. So it's not good.
Going in the F.
Uh, going in the F, I guess. Yeah. I will say though, the score very good.
Oh, who did the score?
I wonder who.
Hmm. I think it's Michael
I don't think I
Giacchino.
know. Oh shoot!
Yes, the score is. You know what I'll say? Score is the best thing about the movie.
Yeah, nah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
All right. Are we all good on Incredibles 2?
hopefully.
Yes,
Okay. Hopefully. All right,
hopefully.
number 19. Next one we have is Coco.
I'll start. So my little cousin loves musicals and anything that's to do with music. It's her like favorite thing. She loves Frozen and stuff like that. And Coco is on her always frequently watch list. So while I haven't sat down to watch this movie like in one sitting, I have watched the whole movie just in parts, and I just put it together in my head.
Mm,
So um, I do think the movie is very strong, um, with what it's trying to go for thematically. The animation's nice. I wouldn't say it's like god tier, uh, but music is good. The story was pretty decent overall. I liked Miguel's character, and him going to the land of the dead to kind of go on an adventure because he wants to fulfill his dream of being a musician. I think I'm at a B for this one.
alright.
Okay, Crimson, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go. So I'm probably going to be an outlier on this for two reasons. One, I don't remember it too well, and two, I don't like musicals. So a lot of the music in this, I did not like. Actually, I don't think there was any songs I liked. The I did like the darker tone to this, where like somebody actually got murdered,
Yeah.
uh, which is not typical for kids animation. Got poisoned, so I liked that aspect. But everything else, I didn't I didn't really care about this movie at all. I have it as a high D, but I can easily bump it up just because I don't remember it too well. So
Interesting.
that's where I have it.
Huh. Well, for me, I really like the villain of this movie. How he's all about how he stole and is thievery, and Coco thinks that this is his dad, and he kind of plays along with it too, and he's such a con artist of a character to just manipulate other people to the point where even after death he's still trying to kill someone. And and
Erase them.
Crimson,
Yeah.
it's a, I agree, it's dark in that way that he's still killing people. And Ryder, I agree with you. I like the animation. I prefer the animation not in the Land of the Dead, and because I think the colors and the lighting of the candles and everything and the sunlight at the very end is very nice and touching. As for the Land of the Dead, it's very vibrant, and I think it
Yeah.
kind of takes away from some of the details of just like polka dots and stripes everywhere.
I guess. Yeah. I actually kind of like the depiction of the Land of the Dead because the Land of the Dead in uh the I guess their Espanol lore is very similar to this. It's where you go to party. That's why Day of the Dead is a huge fucking party festival. So I
Yeah,
kind of like that they carried the motif into the Land of the Dead for that.
was it Deus Los Muertos? Is that the right thing? I'm so sorry if it's not.
Dia los Muertos. Yes.
Okay. Oh man, Phew, almost out of myself.
Mhm.
Um, for me personally, I think Coco is a B. I would pair it with Luca.
Uh,
Uh, what did you have it, Ryder?
I had it at B.
All right, well, B it is.
Sounds like
I don't remember
Crimson.
it
You
enough
should
to
rewatch
argue,
it.
so
Yeah, and it also, like you said,
I
you
mean, I
just
remember the
you just
major
naturally don't.
beats
Yeah,
and
it's also like you
stuff.
said, you naturally just don't like musicals. I'm kind of 50-50 on them, So
Yeah.
That's
I'm
interesting. I wouldn't
more
necessarily call
privy to
Coco a
them.
musical. It's got a lot of music in
It's not
it, but I wouldn't call it.
exactly a musical, but
Yeah,
it's a
It's
good
it's
chunk of it.
yeah. And it's also
it's a
again,
music. It's probably more of a musical than Belle, I would imagine, in your mind.
uh,
Yeah, from what I can remember.
kind of. I'd personally kind of pair the two, but in the term of musical. But yeah, um, also Coco is a movie that had an emotional payoff with his
The
grandma
grandma.
or great grandma.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where she actually
Yeah,
remembered something.
it was very
That was
nice
touching.
and very powerful moment. Yeah.
She kept that little piece of the photo.
That was oh boy, it's very very good, very emotional. All
It
right.
could have also been that I saw this with, like, a three-year-old who wouldn't stop bugging me. That could have
Oh
been a
yeah, no,
factor.
that could help. Yeah, that could change your score definitely. For you said a high D.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should rewatch Coco. Uh, all right, next, number 18, we have Cars 3.
I have not seen this one, so should I dip out like
That's personal choice on
Depends
you.
on how you value spoilers. I value spoilers.
You said it's a good movie, right, Springs? Like
Yes,
that's kind of you are.
I
All
know
right,
where I'm putting it.
I will dip out. At me in the chat.
Okay,
This is gonna
Crimson,
be
do
a
you
long
want me to go?
talk.
Or because you and I, it seemed that
Okay, go ahead.
none of us had seen this movie, and then you and I watched
Correct.
it this week for this pod.
For this. Yeah.
The reason why I hadn't seen it is because of Cars 2. And
Same as me.
I figured because of Cars 2, this movie would fit that. But then I'm like, it's the one Pixar movie I haven't seen. I should watch it. And I watched it. And oh my God, it's pretty good. And it makes Cars 2 that much worse.
God, I feel like we're on two different hemispheres.
Oh no. I
This is
think
gonna be really hard.
I think Cars 3 is the sequel that should have been for Cars 1. Not necessarily the whole story of Lightning McQueen getting old. That's fine because it seems
Just let
like
it focus
quite a time
focused on
jump.
him instead of Mater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole story of Doc Hudson, and it's about racing, and it's still to what McQueen's whole goal and whatnot in the first movie is. It's also one of those movies that it doesn't have a bad guy really. The first Cars movie does, and this one doesn't. So
Ka-chigger.
yeah, even though Chick Hicks is in Chick Hicks or Chick Hits,
Did they
one word
change
there.
his voice actor?
I
He didn't sound the same to me, but I haven't seen the
He
first
didn't.
one in a
He
long time.
wasn't as obnoxious as that first movie, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's I would guess not, but it was cool to see him in here. It was definitely surprising. Nathan Fillion was in here. I did not know Captain Malcolm was in this movie, uh,
Uh,
which was pretty cool. But still, this movie, I do like it. I like how I still like McQueen's character. He doesn't seem butchered or changed that much. Uh, Cruz is okay. I it does feel like a flop from going to trainer to one conversation and then strictly on racer and being like a down in the dumps character until McQueen gives her a chance. I think
mhm.
the story of going from Lightning seeing Doc Hudson as his idol and going with it and learning about everything in Cars 1 and then being his pit crew chief to then McQueen being a pit crew chief, think that totally good circle of life kind of fit to McQueen's character. So me, I would put it as a B.
So I had this in the same tier as Cars 2, but for two different reasons. Um, I guess we'll cover Cars 2 later, but for this, I really liked where it was going in the beginning, where he's an aging car, the new cars are coming, they're better, faster, can't compete against that. I really liked that. Um, the way they handled it was really good. Um, once we got to the training facility, and what'd you say her name was? Cruz.
Yeah.
I just kept referring to her as trainer in my head, Cruz. Um, she was okay, kind of annoying, but not like off-puttingly so
I
for
think she
me.
was annoying when she
Uh,
didn't know how to drive on sand.
well, this is where I'm going to bring it up. So after the whole day of training on the beach, and he yells at her in the car that she's not a race car and everything, I predicted the rest of the movie right there. Um, right there, I'm like, all right, well, he's gonna retire. She's gonna take his place. They're going to use that wrap they put on him to put over her and disguise her. They didn't exactly do that. They just painted her. But this was my mindset after that argument, and that's what happened. Uh, the more training we saw with him and her, I kept seeing she was better than him. I'm like, it's guaranteed. It's happening, and it did. I'm like, I get the message they're going for, where at some point you just hit a wall and you train the next generation. I understand that, but it annoyed me. I did not enjoy it past the beginning stuff, and anything with um, the the mentor and his mentor was Smokey, whatever his name
Yeah.
was. Um, I liked that stuff. That was good, but
I like
pretty much anything with Cruz, I didn't care for.
I do also like how they never touch on how Doc died. He's just passed away. I like
Yeah,
that.
I agree. That's good. I think it's a little. I can't tell if it's personal or not, but the fact that the other characters weren't really present in this that much,
Yeah, you
kind
had
of
Luigi and Guido.
Radiator Springs
That was kind of
group,
it.
they were barely involved in this.
Yeah, you didn't really have
Even
Red
Mater, his
or
best pal, shows up here and there in small intervals, but they're
I
not
don't know
really
if that's
present.
chosen because of backlash of the second movie.
That's
Who knows?
possible.
Who knows?
Well, I feel like a lot of the backlash was like, why is this a Mater movie instead of a Lightning McQueen movie? And this, it's 50-50 between a Lightning McQueen movie and a
And a Cruise.
Trainer and a Cruise movie.
I still think
'Cause,
the main character is Lightning McQueen. Even towards the end of the movie, it's still on Lightning McQueen.
I don't know. It was seeing Cruise one upping him on all the training was so annoying to me, especially during the Derby. Um, she didn't get hit. Come on, come on. She didn't even know how to drive in mud.
That's true. That's true. But
She mastered drifting way faster
that's
than
no
Lightning did.
that's fine. That I agree with. That I'm not giving this movie an S or an A. Okay, but you putting Cars 2 and Cars 3 in the same list, I do not agree with. Those movies are not equal in my eyes.
Um, like I said, my list is primarily enjoyment level, so I enjoy them about the same.
Oh,
Uh,
that's. Oof.
I'm not gonna jump to a B. Do you think C is a fair middle ground, or are you pretty hard stuck on B?
Well, you said what was your original placement for this?
I had it at D.
Gosh,
C fair, or are you really wanting B?
looking at what we have already in, I think I'm fine putting it in a C because I do believe Luca and Coco are better than this one.
All right. Yeah, okay. I'm fine putting it in C.
Okay, put Cars 3 as a C.
Only personally because Lightning McQueen was not ruined in this. He made it through. I agreed with your assessment on that. He did not get woodied.
Yeah, he did not get woodied. All right, let's get right back in. He's back.
I am indeed back. Where did we settle on it?
Well, I was vouching for a B, and Crimson was vouching for a D, so we settled with a C.
Yep.
All right.
Long conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, we did
Pretty
get into
fair.
the whole movie, but I did not agree with one thing Crimson was saying, and then I settled with C because I think Luca and Coco are better movies than Cars 3. So,
Okay.
uh, next we have number 17, Finding Dory.
Just keep swimming.
I remember this.
Yeah. It's not good. That's why I don't remember it.
No, it's a joke because Dory has memory problems.
Yeah, good
Oh,
joke.
yeah, that's funny.
You gonna say that about the Finding Nemo movie? I know where I'd put
Yeah.
it, and for me, I'd put it as a D. It's it's kind of got that Cars feel of the main character is swapped from Nemo to Dory now, from Lightning McQueen to Mater in the Cars example.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I like Hank. The he's not he's an octopus, but he's missing a leg.
He's a 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like Hank as a character. I think he's the only new character I really like. I don't really care for the whale or the was it the beluga whale? Forget the other
Parents.
characters added. I don't really care for them. It does feel like a flop of a story with a little twist because now it's Marlin and Nemo looking for Dory, and the little twist is Dory's looking for her parents. I think
Hmm.
the story of Dory, like losing her parents and then finding them again, and how they were looking, but they're kept in captivity, so they can't really go out and find her. I think that whole story is nice and tie-in of Dory and everything, and I think that's the nicest part of the story. Nemo and Marlin seem sidelined. It's not the flip of the Finding Nemo where it was Nemo in the tank and then Marlin and Dory on their adventure trying to find him kind of thing. It didn't really go back to the Marlin and Nemo. Uh, so yeah, to me, it's just kind of boring in a way, and real ridiculous of stealing the truck to drive into the ocean with the otters. Part is just went off the rails, and that. So a D is where I'd put it.
Okay. I had this as a C, but I was battling between C and D because Dory. I don't think that character is warrants a movie for themselves, and it's very evident with the movie we did get with them. I agree. I like the parents' storyline and how they left shells for her uh, to lead back to home and everything. Um, uh, yeah, the side characters I didn't really care about. The truck at the end was really stupid. The convenience of her memories of when they were showing up was convenient. Um, yeah, but just it wasn't very good. So if writer says D, I'm full on with D. We'll see.
Yeah, I have this listed as a D in my head. So I like the rest of you. It, n- it was just it's none of the new characters outside of her parents just felt good. Like I can think of the original Finding Nemo and the sharks, where like I can. They all have
Oh yeah.
distinct personalities, and they weren't even there for as long as some of these side characters are.
I fully
The
agree with
turtle as
that.
well.
Yeah, Crush and Squirt, the
Yeah,
turtles, and then even um, the school of fish.
yeah. Even the seagulls are more memorable.
Yeah, Gil,
Mine?
the pelican as well.
No, the seagulls. Mine.
Well, there's the
Wait.
seagulls. I think they're also in this at some point, but
Yeah.
uh, there's also the pelican, Gil, right?
Yeah.
So
They're all memorable, and like everyone else in the tank with Nemo too, all have their own little characteristics and quirks to them, um, that make them stand out. And here is just they didn't. It
did
was
they even
bad,
come
but
back?
it's not.
Were
It's
they in
not. It's
this
not a
one?
horrible movie. It was just boring. It's D.
They're still in the plastic bags after a year of being in
See
the ocean.
that's cruel
Yeah,
to the characters.
They're
That-
yeah,
dead.
yeah. They're
A
very,
fish
very
can't
dead.
survive in a plastic bag for a year. It's impossible.
Yeah,
so a D is where it's going.
D.
I'm good with D.
Okay. Next we
So you thought
oh
Finding Dory and Toy Story 4 were the same then?
yeah, I would.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay.
I think Toy Story 4 is a little better than Finding Dory, but that might just be me preferring Toy Story over Finding Nemo. Um,
I do think that's your
yeah,
nostalgia.
that's
So
probably my nostalgia on that, but I would put them in the same pairing.
All right.
So next up, number 16, we have The Good Dinosaur.
Bye bye.
All
I'll
right,
see you guys
Crimson has to
in a
say this one.
moment.
all right, see you then. All right.
This is a
I
weird
can
one.
start this one. Yeah. I think the opening 5 seconds were great. Where we
Five
see the
seconds.
asteroids.
Jeez.
Sorry, the opening 10 seconds. The asteroid just you know missing Earth, and it just kind of showing the different. Um, we're in a different timeline with this one. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That's kind of what I got from it.
I think it definitely fits that it's not. It didn't go down the onward approach. It's not modernized dinosaurs walking around, kind of like Zootopia.
Yeah.
Like it's still dinosaur. How it's handled.
I'm thinking about it. There's a lot this movie's trying to do. I don't think it succeeds with any of it, but I recognize that all the things that it wants to do. It has a lot to say about family. Has a lot to say about befriending.
Taking care of a pet.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Um.
I also think out of all the movies, this is the black sheep of Pixar. It's the one a lot of people don't know about or
Yeah.
haven't seen the most. Is my guess.
Yeah. The Good Dinosaur is definitely the black sheep of the. I would guess is the black sheep of the Pixar franchise. Notably so. Because again, I appreciate a lot of concepts here, but I think that I found the film to be kind of boring. Um, though, because it's mostly just a journey about getting home.
Yeah,
Um, the way the father dies is stupid. The way he gets lost is also stupid. It's just like again contrivance upon contrivance in order to enable this plot to happen. Because the father could have took and taken his son out in the storm without going near a river that presumably floods every time there's a fucking storm based off of this film. So
okay.
it was a lot of
Yeah,
stupid for me.
I I don't think I I've seen Good Dinosaur once, which is unfortunate on my end to pitch, but I don't remember it being stupid. I do agree with you though; it was kind of boring. It was very slow and boring.
It
Um,
has it's I'm describing some of the few stupid moments because like I said, if I'm comparing this to like what we have listed as F, it doesn't make as many fuck ups, but there are a few notable ones because the father dying then leads to Arlo's like journey almost because they need to quote unquote step up.
yeah,
Um, and the father dies in a really really contrived manner. in a way that would be avoided, that he would know to avoid, specifically because it happens regularly in the movie, which is the whole river being over flooded during a storm, and he's just kind of washed away.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have to rely on Arlo being dumb enough to fall into a river and get pulled down into rapids and not drown. Ow. Um,
Bless you. Yeah, I can see. Yeah,
like I said,
the thing
it's got like they're those aren't as bad as previous films that we've discussed, but I'm just noting them as to why this is what's holding it down for me. Because
where would
it's
you
a,
put it? Is what I'm curious on.
I was bouncing between C and D.
Okay.
Um,
To me, something that is good about this movie is the story of Arlo and was it Spot, or I forget the name of the caveman, the kid.
yeah, the kid. Um,
I'll say Spot or something, but that might be not be it. Um,
I don't know if I'd call it good. I know what they want me to do, but the problem is Arlo blames Spot for the death of his father, and they just
true.
don't. They pretty much go. They circumvent that hardcore. Any potential drama with that.
I think at the
Um,
but at the end, I think he forgives him, and to me that's it's a movie that gave me an emotional feel of when they're howling at each other goodbye, because that's
yeah,
kind of the
like I said,
only sense of communication the two have.
yeah. I will say by the end, I'm like, okay, I am feeling something, which is, better than movies that are typically lower on this tier list. So
Yeah, for me, I'd put Good Dinosaur at a C. I don't think it's as good as Luke and Coco, but I think it's better than Finding Dory.
yeah, I'll settle with the C.
Okay, because
I'm okay
I'm
with that.
going with what we've already established in our lists
Yeah,
right
if
now.
we're if
So
I'm going if I'm going based on what we have, I'm also gonna settle with the C. I do think it does some things stronger than what we have in a D, and I do think it does some things weaker than what we have in a D. But
okay, okay, let's get Crimson back in. Good Dinosaur at a C.
yeah, all right. Let me add in the chat. Oh, I think we're gonna blow past my
Oh yeah.
my timestamp here.
We have 10 down. We have 15 to go with still an outro. I think we're gonna blow past all our times.
I mean, I was estimating 3 hours, but changed it.
Yeah, but you changed. That's on you. You could have been right. You had it all, Crimson.
Yeah. What'd you guys end with?
Crimson, we gave it
See.
a C.
Oh, okay.
I was kind of bouncing between D and C, because ultimately I personally find it to be kind of on the boring end. Um,
And I'm in
and it does
agreement
have
with
some
that.
major plot problems that progress the story, but outside of those major ones, it's pretty decent
And
for what it tries to do.
the way I saw it is it's not as good as Luke and Coco, but it's better than Finding Dory.
Okay.
So up next, number 15, and I think that was your Crimson. Was that the four you hadn't seen already covered, or is there still one more?
One more.
One more. Okay, never. Number 15, we have Inside Out. Uh,
Uh,
Crimson, you said this was you first time viewing it
The-
to prep for this, right?
yes, this was one of the three that I prepped with, and it was the best one. I'll say that right at the gate. I gave this one a B. I really enjoyed it. Um, n- the whole world within her mind and the characters and how they work don't make sense if you look too critically at it, but that does not diminish how good I think the film is from an enjoyment standpoint. I enjoyed it a lot. The fact that they never blended emotions is pretty ridiculous, but
kind of on the absurd end, yeah.
yeah. Uh, but it was enjoyable. Sadness or whatever, sorrow.
Sadness.
She was pretty annoying in the beginning, which I think was the intention, and she got better by the end. I don't. The fact that the emotions can feel other emotions than their emotion is also an issue for me, but I still feel it's a B.
Well, I mean,
There's
they
not
could really
a
inception it
real
and go to the emotions inside head emotion. But
well, and the aspect that if um, Joy can remember the imaginary friend, then why can't the girl Riley? Why can't Riley? Because emotion or joy is Riley.
They're
So
all
if
in her head. Yeah,
yeah, so
I agree.
I
It's the
don't know
world,
why the imaginary friend
the quote
would have
unquote. I
gone
think
forgotten.
world building is probably the worst aspect of this movie for me. Um, though I understand entirely what they're trying to go for. So
Like the train of thought and all that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
They're very
do.
creative with how they created this movie, and I think they should get points for that in
Yeah,
of itself.
Writer,
So
we
yeah.
saw this movie together. Was it your
Yes,
first
we did.
time seeing it when we saw it that time?
That was my first time. Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So, uh, yeah, Spriggs and I, Spriggs was with me when I saw this the first time. I remember arguing with my mom immediately afterwards of how much I loved the movie because my mom was like, "Hey, it was
Your mom
fine."
didn't get it.
It's not. My mom was like, "It's not fine. It was good." um, I think uh, I'm pretty self-aware of my own mental issues, and I think that's why this movie touched me in a way that it did. Uh, I find the characters. I agree objectively. The world building doesn't make much fucking sense. I do think though, setting that aside, not entirely because it needs to be factored into the rating. I do think I found a lot of stuff for me to love here. I think creatively it was great. I loved all the characters. I think uh, the quote unquote real world life is pretty great. Uh, and I kind of like when we saw the brief glimpses into the heads of the parents and how they function, and the other people as well. Like the young teenage boy freaking out when the girl alarm goes off is kind
that
of
was the
funny
funniest
because
part for me.
yeah, it's the joke is feels very real because I think we all experience that at least once in our lives. Um, and it also I have a lot in common with Riley. My life has been uprooted by moving around a lot. So navigating new cities, living in new houses, going to new schools. It's kind of I went through that a lot growing up. So
Okay.
I do openly admit I have a lot of personal
So you
attachment to this
connect to
movie.
Inside Out how I connect to Onward.
Uh, Probably yes. Um, and I also I get like your emotions having very split personalities in your head because you can go through your emotions really quickly without necessarily feeling them blended. Um, so I think the movie does, like I said, a very creative job of doing all that. And like I said, I like all the characters. Kind of with you, Crimson. Like I thought sad is probably a bit on the annoying end at the start, but I think that's again the intention. And while sad and joy are like the main two characters for our group here, I do wish the rest had a bit more, but I think the rest are like good sidekicks for the main two. Uh, I I kind of I think this is an A for me.
Okay. This is the kind of this is a tough one for me. I think the best thing that really helps it is Riley's real world situation and the inside her head with joy and sadness and all the other characters. Both stories go back and forth and both work to show back and forth. Like if you just watch the Riley real life story, it's it's real. It feels real. It works of a kid being in a new place and doesn't quite, doesn't wants to go back home, and leaves, and then decides not to and goes back home and cries and all that situation, and then also in the head of Joy feeling in charge. Everything's got to be happy all the time. Keep sadness away because sadness, changes things, and then they have to go find the core memories and solve all this whole adventure, only to realize that hey, sometimes you need both, and it's okay to have both. It's good. It's fine to cry when you're happy and stuff like that. And I think that's the strongest part of this movie to me. That it's not back and forth, kind of feeling one side to the other. Where even though it's focused on one story, it's still helping the other.
Yeah, the transition between both are
Yeah.
fairly smooth. Yeah.
I'm also a bit of a sucker for the clothing. I really like of Riley. When Riley's sad, she's wearing blues. When she's has them all interacting in her head. She's in rainbow when she's leaving on her own to go back to her original home. She's all in black and darkness. Um, so I like the whole costuming in that. I think the animation's good. The characters are great. I think one of the best things is Bean Bon, and that how emotional it is for me. That's probably the most emotional payoff in this movie is Bean Bon disappearing.
Hmm.
Um,
The imaginary friend. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that one hits a
So,
little close to home too.
gosh, I'm looking at our list, and I'm thinking if Inside Out is on par with Soul, because that's the thing I'm questioning right now. And
That's to me what that's to me what is what helped me put it with there because I do think it's on par with Soul, but that again is me. So
okay, because Crimson, where did you put it? You said a B.
Yeah, B.
Oh shoot, then it's up to me because I'm fine with either. Um, I'm thinking about the rest of the movies we have to go through, and I'd put Inside Out at a B.
it's funny. I
I
thought about the rest and still left it at an A.
no, I think the emotional payout at the end of Soul is stronger and a more look at your life situation than Inside Out of being an enjoyable one time like you watch the movie, maybe cry, and you're like, okay, go on with the rest of your day. Was after you watch Soul, the rest of your day
You had
has
to
been
think about life
altered.
for a day.
Yeah, your soul has changed. Your day has changed and altered a bit. So I would put Inside Out at a B because of the after effects of it. Not to say, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
look,
that's
it's
fine.
good. It's a really good one. I do think out
Yeah,
of Luca and Coco, it's the best out of the three. But
yeah, yeah. It's a hard one for me, but mm,
you still want to tackle the A, or are you okay with a B?
the problem is I haven't seen it recently, so I can't. I want to fight for an A, but I don't think I'm equipped enough to fight for an A. So I'm gonna go with the B, I guess.
Okay, and set out at B, number 15. So number 14, we have Monsters University.
Bye bye. Last one.
Oh, this is the okay. Last one Kristen hasn't seen.
All right, bye, Crimson.
Just in and
Um,
out.
man. Uh,
I got to start with my biggest problem with this movie:
sure.
the animation. It's so bad. Sully looks so bad. I can't stress enough comparing Sully and Monsters Inc. to Monsters University. It is sad to me, the animation difference. He looks like a lump of clay.
Yeah, that's what they don't put as much effort into their cash grabs, do they?
No, it's upsetting. The story, fine. It's a prequel, fine. That I mean, it's kind of cool to have a prequel of how Sully and Mike met. I think Mike is still is still on par to his character later on. Like he doesn't seem that much of a difference. Sully does feel like kind of like a harder curve to turn to fit his Monsters Inc. character. So
Yeah,
it's not in
but
the
like
same vein as
at least they left him in the right place to eventually grow into that character, which
yeah,
is nice.
it's not the same vein as Incredibles 2 to me.
Yeah, I mm, so I had heard nothing but bad things about this movie before going in. Um,
Did you watch it
I
first
was
time this week?
this is what I watched this week. I watched it
Okay.
exactly 36 hours ago.
Okay. But for the first time is what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've heard everything. I heard only bad things about it, but I came out of it pleasantly surprised. Um, there's not really a villain in this one. The villain is society.
Yeah, the villain is the
I
frat boys, kind of. But
Yeah,
yeah.
Nathan Fillion. Yeah.
Is that no?
Um,
That's not Nathan Fillion,
yeah.
is it? Is the frat
Oh,
guy?
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, it is.
Oh man, I haven't seen it in a while. I forgot.
That is Nathan Fillion. I do think I do think it was okay. Like I was expecting to be disappointed and hating it, and like I said, I don't really look at animation details until second rewatches and stuff like that, unless it stands out to me. And I'm gonna be honest, the animation difference solely did not stand out to me,
Oh,
which
wow. Okay. To
But
me, it
again,
definitely did. But
but yeah, that's fair. And like I said, I think the story though is okay. Like I wasn't blown away by it. It wasn't groundbreaking. Um,
I think the new characters
uh,
of Kappa Kappa are okay.
yeah, like I said, they're all okay. I don't think they're particularly memorable.
I wish there was more
Uh,
Randall. They had Randall in there
yeah,
as like his roommate, his dorm mate, and then the glasses of why he squints, and I like that, even though
yes,
how
that was
small it
nice.
is.
Yeah, I like the subversion of expectations when he's arriving. We all expect his roommate to be Sully,
Yeah.
and then it turns out to be Randall, which is really nice twist. Um,
I also think the
uh,
best scene, even though I just commented on Sully looking terrible, I think the best scene in this movie is when they're in the camp lodge at the end, like kind of trapped in the
oh,
human world.
when they're scaring the
Yeah,
adults.
and the flashlights and the lighting and all that. I think the lighting looks very good.
Hmm.
But I mean, for me, I'd put it as a C. Looking at our list here, I think it's
Yeah,
better than Finding Dory, but it does not fitting. Looking at what we have in B, it does not belong with those other three.
I agree. It is definitely a C. That's where I put it.
Okay, well, that we'll
Uh,
put it at a C then. Well, I had my opinion on what I thought of it very much, and then this was Ryder's first time seeing it this week.
yeah, and we pretty much agreed. So
It's at a
And
C.
a C.
set a C.
It could have been lower. I'll say that I could have been okay if Ryder wanted it as a D. I think I could have settled with that, but still.
Yeah, I think the story does enough. It's at a C. Yeah,
Okay, so now the next 13 we've all seen,
I'm on board. Yep.
right?
yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Number
here we
13,
go.
we have Brave.
This is a
Alright.
movie I have seen only once in theaters, and it's been a long while. Um, from what I do remember of it, uh, I remember the story being compelling and the animation being very, very dark. And by dark, I mean more like it wasn't scary, but it delved into the more like tension,
It had to do with
I
those
guess.
wisps. A
Yeah,
lot of the wisp stuff.
yeah. Um, I remember from what I can remember of it, and so I don't have much to say on it because I don't remember much of it. It's probably going to be a C for me. Um, I do remember liking Merida. Um, I just the movie essentially, from what I remember, does it knows what it's trying to do, and it just missteps along the way. If that makes sense, doesn't nail everything well, but it nails what it needs to in order to get a passing grade, almost.
Hmm,
Okay.
I guess I'll
Crimson,
go.
this was your first time
This
watching
was
it?
one of the yeah, this was one of the three I watched, and I was kind of excited for it because I know it's like archery girl. That's the one thing I knew about this, and bear was going to be relevant for some reason. I don't know,
Yeah.
but having seen it, I was disappointed in the archery aspect. It wasn't
It
that
was in
prevalent.
one scene,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's in the
they
poster. I don't know why it's there.
yeah they really built it up in the beginning. Like she's going through training, she's defying her mom by doing it, and then it doesn't come into relevancy at the end.
Yeah.
But Merida herself annoyed me. I did not like her. Her mom, I really did like, and her dad. When the mom was turned into a bear, I liked that she couldn't talk. That made that way better. If you would have talked, this movie probably would have been a D for me. But I gave it a C. I think it's a average fine film. The animation, since we bring that frequently, is fine. Didn't stand out. The Merida's hair kind of acts a little weird in certain scenes because it's curly, and I mean, this was probably one of their first characters with like realistic curly hair, so they're probably early techniques. There are some bugs here and there, I think. And the brothers were they were there for jokey stuff, and
for laughs.
there, sure.
Yeah.
I didn't care for them, but whatever.
Now remind me, Crimson, you just saw it recently. I've only seen it once, and it was a while ago. Does Morn
Yep.
do? Is he an actual bear, or is that a human cursed?
That's a human cursed, and the curse solidified, so he turned into a bear. He's not
Okay,
really human anymore.
okay, so he's still a bear. Okay, I was just trying to remember if he ever turned back into a human or anything. Okay,
He when he gets crushed by the rock and dies, his soul comes out, and he like nods at her, thanking her for releasing him.
okay,
He was the wisp.
okay. Jeez, Brave. Seen it once. I don't agree with the theories that people have about the whole thing of the witch being Boo as an old lady, and she
What?
like travels through the doors and monsters. A lot of people think that because one of the wooden sculptures is of Sully. That I think that's just thrown in there. A lot of people
I don't
think of
want
this
that.
theory. I don't like it.
It's
I
probably not true.
no, that's probably not true. To me, the reason that makes Brave a worse movie is I compare it to Brother Bear. And Brother Bear to me is a far better movie about someone being turned into a bear to trying to be transformed back. And
Yeah,
to me,
I also like Brother Bear
Brave
as
has
well.
that feel to it. That's kind of the plot of Brave, but Brave has these other elements in it.
Yeah,
For me, because of that, unfortunately, I haven't seen it in a while. I would put Brave as a D because I can't remember too much of it. But I'd be fine putting it in a C. I know the animation was cool. The, oh god, all the sons getting for her for marriage are all stupid.
Mhm.
They're all
Yep.
just idiots. And I don't know if that was supposed to be tailored of like three idiots to the three
Well,
brothers. If
all
that's
the men in this were actually pretty dumb.
was the dad dumb?
Yeah, he was dumb.
Okay,
The queen kept like nudging at him to do things correctly, or just outright correcting him.
okay. And also the whole Ireland accents and feels, it kind of gave me a little bit of How to Train Your Dragon. And I apologize to writer; those two should not be compared. But
well, thank you. I
uh,
accept your apology for now.
yeah, but
Well,
it
they
does
take place during
kind
the
of
same
have
time
yeah,
and
it kind of
stuff.
has that
So
feel. It's still
Yeah,
Viking like in a way.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's definitely Viking inspired just by the virtue of how all the sets are built, the weapons, and just the costumes. I definitely took away instantly. I took away Norse kind of feeling Viking.
Yeah.
So
So for me, I'd put it as a D, but I'm fine putting it as C if it comes to it.
uh, I'm kind of strong on the C on this one, just because it's like I said, I didn't hate anything about it, but I also didn't like love anything about it either, which I think is just the perfect place to where I typically put my C movies.
Sprinks, since I can't see the list, what's in D right now?
Finding Dory. That's the only one.
Okay, this is better. I'm sticking with C.
Okay, C it is.
um,
All right. We got a lot in C right now. Being that we're
yeah.
going on to 12, do you want me to
Oh,
go
well,
over the
hey, do you
list?
want to move Lightyear back down to D? That'll fill it up.
I could. We could. I mean, um,
Well,
just
I think we can go through everything and then
Yeah, we can
sort.
we'll
revisit
go
some
it all at
things
the end.
like at the end. Yeah.
At the end. Do you want me to go over the list right now? Just to, I'm the only one with the visual, in case the
You
audience
know,
is
we can
curious.
we can
But
we can we can go over with that at the end, and then once we get
okay,
to the end, then we can reorganize some things and
okay,
move
we'll
things
go over
around.
it at the end. All right, number 12, and I feel pretty highly about
Kinda,
where I want this one to go.
yeah, so do I.
Number
This is an
12,
easy
we
one for
have
me.
Cars 2. To me,
Okay.
it's hard for me to think of any of these movies as bad being Pixar because I really like Pixar. This is the worst one to me. For me, this is an easy F.
But the
Uh,
visuals,
The visuals are
doesn't that bump it up
fine.
to a
The
D?
visuals are fine,
But the visual
and look. I talked about the visuals in Monsters
and the voice
University.
acting
Okay,
is
Monsters
exceptional.
University. I talked about the visuals, and that's still a C. The
Yeah,
visual
but
in
the
this
only
are
thing saving
fine.
Toy Story for you was the visuals and the voice
Well,
acting and stuff.
yeah, this. Well, it's a creative approach to make it a spy movie, and it doesn't work. If they
Yeah.
wanted a spy movie, they should have just done Finn McMissile and not touch Lightning McQueen and anyone in Radiator Springs. By incorporating these two stories together and kind of focusing more on Mater, it felt like a Mater tall tale, which they have those animated Mater tall tales, just longer.
A ghost light.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not a good thing. uh, I also put this one as F because this was the easy F for me. Because I remember as a child walking out of the theater and going looking up at my mom and saying, "What was that?"
Oh,
I
after
just
finishing it, you didn't walk out during? Is what you're saying?
What kid walks out of a movie?
Well, that's what I'm
no,
asking.
yeah, no, I was like I think 12. It came out in 2001. I was pretty.
It
I was
did
on the
not
younger
come out in
side.
2001.
No,
No
yeah,
way.
2011. Sorry,
2012 or
2011.
Okay.
something.
Not bad. But yeah, no, this is bad. I remember being fucking confused and just not liking it. Yeah, sure, I found some bits funny, but I'm just like, this is terrible. This is,
And
so
Uh,
yeah,
also
F,
for me,
easy F for me.
Cars 3 makes Cars 2 worse. I discussed it with Crimson that Cars 3 is the sequel to Cars 1 that's what should have been, is how I put it.
for me, I put Cars 2 at D because I don't see it at the same level as Toy Story 4, and we agreed Incredibles 2 is also an F. I think the characters, while they're in situations they shouldn't be, are still in character. Um, Lightning McQueen would race at a prestigious race if called out.
Mhm.
Mater would, of course, accidentally become a part of an organization. Um, whether or not we agree that's the route the movie should have taken, I think we all agree it is not what they should have done. But what is in front of us, I think, is not the worst thing made out of Pixar.
You think
So
something is worse than Cars?
It's something.
Well,
It's something I
yeah, I
need
think
to.
Toy Story 4 and Incredibles is worse than Cars 2.
and to me, I think Cars 2, if we had another tier, would be below Toy Story 4 and Incredibles 2.
I'm not willing to go that far.
Because I don't know.
I think Toy Story 4 and Incredibles 2 are
It's
better than
bugging
Cars
you
2.
because of the route they took, right?
I mean, also with
That
him,
it's
yeah,
Mater
it's fine
focused.
that Mater got into the secret organization. I think it would have been a one mission and done. They would have not accepted him to continue going as this agent character.
I think I'm gonna settle again for D instead. And the reason what's selling me this is that all the characters are in character. Because I think you're right, Crimson. I'm running the whole movie into my head right now. I don't think they've do anything particularly out of character. Oh,
It was
that
put in a situation where we don't like where they
oh,
took
that
them.
fucking sucks. Yeah, no, I think it's a D. Fuck.
I don't like
Shit.
that. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. But you know what?
D because the characters aren't broken.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4 a D because the visuals are good. What's your point?
I'd
Yeah.
settle it with F. I mean, those are broken characters, but it's hard. I already knew.
Wait,
Okay,
okay, you think
I
they're
already know.
broken, so
I
it's
already
broken.
knew coming into this it was going to be a little harder for me to pitch things since the two of you focus more on the writing aspects, and for me, I try to incorporate it all. So I figure
So
if the
have I.
writing is sucks, something can't really be in a C for writer, even though anything else could be good about it. I kind of knew that coming in, but Cars 2 is just so stupid.
I think if I would probably list Cars 2 as the lowest I possibly could as a D. Like if we were, to give percentages to our grades.
What was
But
hang on?
we're not doing that.
Someone can
I'm just saying
remind
like
me, what was the villain's purpose? What was his goal? The guy with the
his
monocle?
goal was to
Was it blowing up
destroy
cars with?
organic biofuels so he can profit off oil.
Well, there were two bad guys. There was the monocle one, and then the one that was orchestrating it all, the eco-friendly guy who
Oh
orchestrated
yeah,
it
I forgot about
to
the Two-Face
people.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, to get people into his business of going eco-friendly.
And then, crashing that business, so
Yeah.
That seems way too much over a kid's head.
wouldn't that be a point in
But
favor that it's also catering to adults then?
Well, Soul, according to you guys,
just whoa,
seems like
whoa, whoa, whoa. Soul and Cars 2 do not pair. No.
what you just said. It's
Opposite
not.
spectrums.
It would go over
Opposite
kids'
sides.
heads.
Crimson, you haven't seen it. Opposite. Sure. Fine.
But I'm
But
going with the statements you've made.
I'm
That's
in
all I'm going
entirety
off of here.
fine in that.
I said, I listen. I don't like this movie, but I do have to respect that, in a correct objective point has been made. The characters don't break.
And that refuses it from going to an F.
Unfortunately for me, yes. And granted, the my feelings of this being an F are really there, but I recognize that he's right. The characters don't fucking break. That it would be so much easier for me to put this in F if like even if just one character broke for like a minute, I would
Okay.
probably prefer it.
Okay. Okay. It's majority ruling. It's
Yeah,
2v1. It's going in D.
yeah, it's a hard one for me. I came into this thinking that was gonna be an F. I really did.
All right.
Oh, that
Get that
sucks.
out of the way. We'll go on to the next one. Number 11. Toy Story 3. I know where I would place it.
I'll go first then.
I'd put it at an A. I
This
think
is yeah. Sorry,
it's
go on. You
I
first.
I think it's an A. I like after what they did with Toy Story 2, Buzz is more of a leader role and not 4. 4 is an F. Got that. Buzz is an actual character in this. Even with the demo mode swap and then the Spanish mode, he has more to him that's shown as a difference in character. I like that. I like that there's still change and it doesn't break him. Woody is still stuck on Andy, which is Woody's character from the beginning. I really like that, even to the end payoff of Woody finally accepting because Andy's the one who gave it over and it wasn't like lost or a decision of the toys. It was Andy himself, which is what Woody accepted. Really like that's fine. All the other characters actually have a role in this movie, and Mr. Potato Head with a tortilla, he's present in that. Mrs. Potato Head with her eye can see through the other eye. I think that's clever. And I don't necessarily find that breaking because it hasn't been touched on in Toy Story 1 or 2 with Mr. Potato Head or Mrs. Potato Head of like using their body parts in other locations. They got Jesse and Bullseye, like all the characters are still fine, and then the introduction of new characters. I think Lotso is a great villain. He's pretty cool. He's this soft, cuddly guy, but he's like really dark and is totally fine with just chucking people in the trash to burn them. And then at the very end, when you think he might have a redeeming quality, he still leaves him to die, which is really dark. And you think the
Mhm.
toys are actually going to get burned alive, which is really dark. And then even with that, it pays off. We're not in a way of Lightyear, just using lines, as Ryder said, to just kind of like nostalgia feel. The aliens are the ones with the claw, which is how they were shown in the first movie. So the connection in that really good. Animation's really good. The coloring is not to the point of Coco where it's just vibrant and rainbow everywhere. Like the caterpillar room has colors, but it fits in a real world for like a kindergarten. It
Mhm.
works. I think Bonnie as a character, as a shy little kid, works. All her toys are cool. I think Chuckles is nice. They're not all like they all have their own personality. Trixie is the enthusiastic up top one, and then you have Mr. Pricklepants who goes, the toy to the non-toy. It's all like a theater performance for him. And Chuckles is a very dark, stern character because he knows the past history. To me, it just works very well, and I would definitely pair it with Soul. So for me, it's an A. And it also had an emotional payoff. I was crying in the theater when I watched it.
You want to go next, Crimson, or
Sure. So I will say the spot I had this place was purely because of where I put the other two Toy Stories. But I haven't seen this since I think it came out. So what Sprinks just stated jogged a lot of my memory there. So I would change my original high C to a B because of the jogged memories there. Um, it was good. I also did get an emotional response at the end, which they earned through all these movies
Also, this is where Toy
until they
Story
spit
should have
on it in
stopped.
four.
Yeah, this is where it should have stopped.
Yes.
Yeah, uh, yeah, it was a good ending to their story. Lotso was indeed a good villain. His ending of getting stuck on a truck. I would have liked to see what happened after that, but it'd be an interesting short if they did that. I don't know if they did or not.
They
What
haven't.
It'd
No.
be pretty dark. So
it would, but I would like to see what happens. If he
yeah,
gets
punish
shredded
the
on the grill, or
bastard.
if he falls
Yeah.
off, or if
Punish the
the guy
bastard.
takes
He
him,
almost burned our favorite characters alive.
or if the guy takes him off the grill, gives it to his daughter or something. It'd be interesting to
Also,
see.
it's a nice thing. I touch it definitely more on Toy Story 4, but something I really like is being that it's a Randy Newman composed score. He reused the music from Monsters Inc. in this movie, which to me, I guess, is a nostalgia connection to another movie of like a dire situation of Pixar's history of what's shown. So I do really like that connection to it, which is when
Mm,
they're in the running in the when they boost Lotso up to push the button to stop it.
yeah, that's
And because of what I know, I have above B. I think I'm good with it being a B. Uh, writer. Sure. Here you go.
yeah. I came to this grading a B. I love Toy Story 1 and 2, and we'll get there. Um, and I think this story does have its missteps. Um, they try to rush through a few things, and they try to gloss over others. It's But from what I do remember, it was a good way to end it. I was content with this being the end of their story because they were passed down to a new child, and I did also get the emotional ending. I think like everybody else, with all them all holding their hands, they're about to go out in the furnace together as a group and a family. Um, it's very very emotionally powerful and resonant scene. And again, the daycare stuff is fun, um, but it's one of those things where the product of the story is Andy leaving was what causes it, which is why I prefer the movie pretty much is about earning their return to Andy in order Andy to then give them away after he kind of that inner child is kind of rekindled in him. Um and I do think the movie is pretty solid, and that's why I leave it at a B because it does have its flaws, but I'm content to leave it there.
It all started because the mom threw them all away instead of
Pretty
putting them in
much.
the attic.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
We got two B's and an A. Spriggs, is there
Uh,
something you really want to push to convince? I guess.
uh, I'm trying to think what else I would put in an A, and I would agree with it. Out of the B's we have of Luca, Coco, and Inside Out, I think Toy Story 3 is the strongest for me.
I think Inside Out is stronger than Toy Story 3, but that's just me.
Oh, that's the connection you said, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm I'm fine putting it at a B.
All right. Don't worry. The others are probably going to be higher up on the
All right, we
list.
still got. We can discuss it at the end. It's fine. All right.
I mean, the further we go into the past, I think the better the numbers.
Yeah, that's
Well,
pretty much,
that's
yeah.
true. The early works of Pixar are better. Um, number 10. We have 10 to go. Number 10, we
Mhm.
have Up.
All right. I remember the first 8 minutes of this movie, and then I think the rest of it's kind of boring.
Oh,
Um,
Oh no.
yeah. Not to say this is a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think uh I really do like the old man character. I think Doug as comedic relief is also pretty decent, and I think I like the juxtaposition of the villain because I think the villain turned out to be my favorite character. And how he's kind of juxtaposed to our main character, old man. Um, and this one has been longer for me since I've seen it, so I'm gonna be more easily swayed on this one.
Where do you have it?
I also have this at a B.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sounded lower.
It
I wasn't
sounded
sure if you
lower when you started.
okay. I'll go. So I also have this in B. Um, the one of the things that didn't make much sense to me, and I'd love it if someone could explain it to me, is how the heck what's his face is still alive? Adventures Out There guy.
Charles Muntz?
Yeah, how the heck is he alive? Because is it Ferguson
Carl
or
Fredrickson.
Fredrickson? Frederick.
When
Frederick.
he was a child, you saw him in
He was a
theaters, and
child.
he's still in.
The other guy was a full-grown adult adventurer that's traveled the world.
And
But
then when he goes and
now
sees them,
he's
they're about
super
the
old.
same age.
Yeah. So I don't know if the Paradise Falls grants slower aging or something, but
Crimson,
they
I
don't
don't think it's
explain how he's
it.
alive still.
Crimson, it's not
Uh,
explained.
it doesn't make any sense. Um, the dogs, granted, some good comedy. The whole squirrels bit. I remember in school that was everyone was doing that joke on people. It was pretty fun. Um, I just did that to my mom a lot. It's pretty funny. Kevin the bird was all right, uh, and Russell he plays the annoying kid trope, but I think he does it right. He was not annoying to the audience, but he was annoying to the main character,
Mhm,
and the payoff of Carl and the Ellie badge at the end was really good. There was a lot of emotional beats in
mhm.
this movie. At the beginning, obviously, everyone references and knows, and will stay with until they die, probably. Um, but
It's a
the Ellie
meme.
badge, the house falling, the house burning. There's like four times in this, maybe even five. If some people probably felt something when he chucked all the furniture and stuff out to get some air to get Russell. So
Mhm.
I think it's very solid. I think it's a B for me.
Okay, I agree. It's a very emotional movie, like everywhere, and I think that's something that not a lot of people realize that kind of strengthens Carl's character to Russell and Charles Muntz and all these other characters is that it never shows him directly talking to Ellie. There's never a scene of the two of them having a conversation.
When they were kids.
When they're kids, he's listening. He doesn't talk to her. He listens to her.
Think you need to watch it again.
Okay, maybe
They
I'll have
went
to
into
watch
that
it again.
house. They went into the house that they ended up buying and talked to each other.
I don't remember that, but okay. Um, that's on me. But I just think something like that is stronger to Carl's character because he's been alone, and then Russell, he's never had a kid, finds him annoying, and then grows his relationship with him, and then when he fires Charles Muntz, he talks to Russell about it, and Charles Muntz, it's a very creative idea of a house that floats with balloons from a balloon salesman to get to a place called Paradise Falls in South America, and there's an explorer dude who's looking for a bird with talking dogs. It's very imaginative and it works. And even though how silly of a concept it is, it still works and is emotional. I think the score is good. I mean, Michael Giacchino. I think the animation's good, even for being the 10th Pixar movie made. The voice acting's great. I like the ending. Charles Muntz actually does die. One of the classic Disney falls to his death characters, and Russell and Carl are really good. And I think another emotional beat is Carl giving the Ellie badge to Russell, and not his helping the elderly badge for a character payoff rather than just Russell doing what he wanted to do. I think it's very good, and Carl becomes this dad character that Russell wanted of sitting eating ice cream, pointing out the colors of cars, which he does with Carl. I'd because I'm going off of where Toy Story 3 is right now, and because of that, I'd put Up at a B.
But you would have put it
For
at an A.
me, I think Toy Story 3 is better than Up, but I don't think Up and Soul are on par, so I'd put Up at a B.
All right. Okay. Guess we're all in agreement on that one.
Okay. Number 9, and this is the first. I don't. We have no alarm or something to ring out right now, but our first favorite, our first fan favorite. We have Wally.
Uh, yeah, this is my favorite, and this is one of the two movies I've put in S tier because I these are the one of the this is one of the only movies that I thought about when vaguely judging of where everything else was going to fall. Um, the world building is subtle. Well, subtle in the sense that no one speaks about it, but you get everything you need to know about the world of Wally just by following him around in his day-to-day job. Um, and you understand Wally as a character by following him around in his day-to-day job without him having to speak at all in the first 20 minutes. That's what the first 20 minutes is, pretty much. It's just him doing his day-to-day job, and it's just I'm sorry, describing a gender just for the sake of simplicity, but whatever.
I think something fascinating about this is how it's a movie with not much dialogue for
No,
Wally and
and
Eve, and for
yet
Not
you,
the
until they get
story
into
writer,
is
it's
space.
yeah.
completely conveyed, and it's completely believable in how everything is executed. Um, this was easy. This was one of the only two that I put into S tier. When thinking about this, um, I think the characters are beautifully crafted. I think the world is beautifully crafted. The story is emotional through and through. It knows when to be lighthearted. It knows when to not pull its punches. Um, and there's plenty of other references to other sci-fi's if you squint. And there's a much much darker subtlety to this movie if you pay attention and know your stuff.
Talking about the food
Um,
source.
oh yeah, I'm talking about the food source.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just
A lot of meat on the bone, if you know what I'm saying.
Hey, they
yeah.
didn't know they had a pool. They could have a farm.
I mean, they,
Uh,
they probably have a way of making food as well as recycling it. Sure.
yeah, I'm assuming that eventually that just ran out, which is why I think was very very slow progression into why all the captains took so long to fatten up, um, so to speak. And the villain is very simple, but effective use in the sense of evil II trying to follow its programming. So
Okay, Crimson, you want to go next?
I guess. Wally. I put this at an A. As a kid, when I first saw this, I didn't think much of it. Then, when I was a teenager, I saw it again and I liked it more. Um, and I saw this, I think, within a year. So I got a fairly good recollection on it. And I agree. I really like the silence in the beginning. The fact that Eva and Wally don't talk too much. There's not a lot of back and forth scenes. It's usually like sentence, sentence, sentence. That's about it. Um, the whole trying to hold hands thing. I like how they stuck with that and it delivered a pretty decent payoff. Not an emotional one. I didn't feel anything, but it's a good payoff nonetheless. Um, I'm going to point out flaws. I'm going to bring out that fire extinguisher that goes forever in space. But
yeah,
that's
that's
minor
well,
stuff. and why they would shoot the boo out into space instead of incinerate it. That would be a very easy solution to their problems. Or
I
why
got
the
another one
robots
for you.
go rampant instead of having overrides to stop them. Uh, lots, well, not lots, but there's a few problems if you analyze it. But the heart, this movie has heart. I think that's something good about this. It's got a heart. And yeah, I think it's a solid A.
To add one more to your list of tiny potential flaws is the off switch for Auto, the AI.
Uh,
Just has an
yeah,
off switch right above the wheel.
at least
Okay.
it has one.
Well, not
That's
necessarily an
true.
off switch, just a manual to automatic. Or
Essentially off button
yeah,
for him.
yeah,
It's
that's true.
essentially an off button for
Yeah,
him
it
for the
turns
sake
him
of the
off.
movie. Yeah.
Okay. With this list, I did rewatch Wally this week, knowing that it was writer's favorite. So I wanted to rewatch it to just keep it more fresh in my mind. And on this list, I would have. I mean, I'd pair it at B. Something to me. Well, the main thing I don't like about Wally is the humans. I don't like the people. Really like the story of Wally on Earth, and I like his romantic relationship with Eve, and all the robots and how they connect in little language and the voices they have and the comedy with like Mo tracking down Wally and Otto being this to his directive villain. I like all of that. The fat humans in chairs as a story with the captain, I don't care for.
You
Something
don't
to
care
me
for it in that it's not good, or you don't care for it in that
compared to
it's
the story, comparing to also going on in the story of Wally as a robot, and especially the first 20 minutes of just a robot going around to then go to where the humans are and everything. I don't like it. I think if they started off with Earth and showing how Earth deteriorated and then left, showing like humans talking and everything at the beginning to get to Wally, I think it would have helped a little more than starting the movie as this dystopia and we're solely on Wally until we get to that point.
I
Something
think that
else
would
to
diminish
me,
the film.
I think that would diminish it. Yeah.
that's weird about this, and I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but just weird. It has live action.
That's true.
With the
It,
A little
president,
odd.
with the
or yeah,
president,
the by and large guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
with the president and Hello Dolly, and it's just odd. I don't know how else to place it. I don't know why it wasn't animated. I can understand with Hello Dolly of actual footage why it wasn't, but with the president, I don't know why.
Maybe to
It's just
ground it in reality, maybe.
maybe it's just off
It's
in a way.
it's an interesting choice. I'll give it that. I don't think it takes much away from the movie though, because I think it, as Crimson said, it adds a spark of potential realism. Because the idea of it being a dystopia is this: this is how we could end up if we aren't careful. That's the whole shtick of it. So
True, but no other Pixar film does it. So it's a standalone on its own. It's a creative choice by itself for why and
Mhm.
to set a real.
if another so if another Pixar film did it, would that be okay? That it then?
It wouldn't stand out as much to me.
Is it a problem necessarily that it stands
No,
out? Wally's
no,
its own
I
movie.
no, yeah, it's not a problem. As to me, it's just weird for
Okay.
me. So it's not an add-on good, but not a deteriorated bad. So it's just something that makes it off.
Observation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot. The flaws are there. These just brain dead humans just going with whatever the robots say.
Well, look at today in phones.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's not far off, unfortunately. And you know, I think that that adds to the aspect of Wally just being this new anomaly, changing people's lives as he goes about his day
I can,
unintentionally.
I think it's dumb that the humans don't even know like they have a pool.
yeah, I
They don't see past the screen. I think that's
yeah.
dumb.
I'm
But
also looking at
That is dumb.
our
Yes.
other 8 movies, and I think I'm okay. I could bump Wally can be an A, but I don't think I would agree with it being an S.
I'm inclined to agree. I don't think I could put it as S. But I usually value the highs on anything where it needs to be very few.
Yeah,
So that
because me,
what do you
Wally,
think?
I'm kind of agreeing with Wally being as good as Inside Out. Wally is good as Coco. No, no, Wally's better than Coco. Wally is good as Up. I can agree with that. But Wally and Soul, the first 20 minutes of Wally, without before humans are shown, Wally to me matches Soul. Once the humans and their story is thrown in and intertwines with Wally and Eve, it lowers it for me.
Sounds like I should have watched Soul because you guys keep calling back to that one.
It's
Soul's at one of the movies
Soul's
we have
also a
today.
unique difference, and right now it's the only one in A. Um,
And
so
Walt. Okay, so I find Wally to be more impactful than Soul because while Soul touches me as an artist, Wally touches your imagination in the sense of like potential realities. Um, and in the way that the main character's soul goes around and interacts with people for their like the main his sidekick character is essentially someone who's changing their life for the better. While he's just doing that on the same scale, just not in as in depth. Like he's not spending the whole movie with the two humans that end up changing because of him, or he's not spending time endlessly with the captain to grow. Like he's not mentoring them.
no,
He's just affecting
no,
their lives in small ways for them
Wally
to
doesn't.
recognize change for
Yeah, Wally
themselves.
doesn't necessarily have care for anyone other than Eve. I mean, giving Eve the plant was just showing Eve more stuff he has in his collection at his home.
Hmm.
It's not Wally's not trying to go for the directive and getting humans back or any of that.
Well, he does by the end where he chooses to give Eva the plant and sacrifice himself when he's like severely
I
damaged.
I see that more as Wally caring about Eve and giving Eve what she would like than to help the humans. Because
That
it's
sounds
Eve's
fair.
purpose is to
I
follow the
I wouldn't
directive.
I wouldn't do that. I think Wally is shown to be kind enough to cockroaches. I think he'd treat the say cockroaches the same way as he treats the humans. They're just people he wants to help.
I mean, I would agree, but at least the scene I referenced, I think Sprinks is correct. It's more towards Wally catering to what you've been going for.
Yeah. Eve definitely cares about the humans and would help out the humans. I don't think Wally. I think Wally wouldn't be opposed. You know, it's
Well,
like someone is reaching for something, he helps out. Like when they
interesting
fell
thing to
out of
think
the
about is I don't
chair.
think Wally's ever met humans. His interaction with humans is
Well, he
It's the
the
bumped into
visual.
live action.
the
Yeah.
to that one guy.
Oh, he bumped in.
No,
The,
One
no,
guy
no. I'm
fell out
talking
of
about
his
on Earth.
chair.
I'm saying when he was
No,
on
oh, on Earth.
Earth,
no.
he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he bumped into the guy on his chair and he bumped into the lady on the tram. I know,
As
but I mean, he
far
doesn't. I don't think he met humans at all before this,
as far as we know, no.
No
as far as
idea.
we know.
So,
I don't like
um,
it, but sure. Hey,
th- th- yeah. Hey, I don't like Cars 2 being in a D, but
yeah, I know. I'm aware.
okay.
I don't like Lightyear being in a sea. So we've already
Well,
covered
when
that.
we
So
go
of
when we
course.
get to the
We've
end,
all
we
made
can move. Yeah, when we
compromises
get to the
here.
end, I moving everything I don't think is fair, but I think we each should be able to get
Well,
one move.
oh, you think someone gets veto power at the end? Everyone
Maybe.
gets veto power?
I'm trying to think. We have this
Uh,
list and we're discussing it. We shouldn't at the end just start moving everything, comparing everything, like that kind of thing.
no, okay. Actually, we shouldn't do the veto thing. I like the fact that we're trying to do this. So the veto thing gives someone to override one particular thing. I don't think we should do that
No,
because we're all just gonna pick the one thing that we like that we should move up.
no, that's I get. Okay, I get. Fine, sure, yeah, cool. I get that. Uh, First time doing a tier list. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
we don't
We're
fully
working
know the
out the kinks
structure,
here too.
but Wally is going to an A. Okay. Up next, we have Ratatouille.
This will be an interesting one. Sprinks, you should probably go first.
Okay, I'll go first. I know a lot of people love Ratatouille. A lot of people would put Ratatouille in S. I am not one of those people. Ratatouille is a sweet movie. It's also one of those movies I don't think necessarily has a villain. Really, Remy against his dad, but his dad's not really a villain.
The
The
food critic is
chef.
probably the
And
closest you're gonna get.
the food critic, I guess, but he has one
There,
scene.
there, there are
I
He's a
antagonists.
passive.
Yeah, if I
Yeah,
think anyone's a
there.
villain in this
Yeah,
movie, it's the owner of the restaurant, who's like, you know,
Yeah, the little guy.
yeah,
yeah.
the short guy. I think if anyone's a villain, it's him.
I agree.
It's it's a fine movie. I like the artistic point they have on culinary in it, and how much the emo the I don't know how much a rat's palate and taste buds is accurate to a human. Don't know if that changes for anything. Um, but I don't know if this also could be said with any other animal. And I think they stuck with Ratatouille, A, because of the name, and B, because rats are vermins in kitchens.
Mhm.
So,
Mm.
but the I guess the theme of anyone can cook that's on the cookbook and everything fits so well.
That's
And
the yeah.
I
That's the theme
don't,
everyone quotes
yeah, but I
usually.
don't know if Linguini's a character to really just, yeah, save a rat, but to just start talking to it hysterically and then keep it at home. I don't know if that fully fits. I like, oh gosh, I forget the girl's name, but when Remy helps Linguini kiss her and she immediately pulls out pepper spray, I like
Mhm.
that has a realism to it and accuracy. Um, I like how the rats do help Remy at the end. His brother's kind of a goof. I believe some people said I haven't looked too much into it, but the old lady's home at the beginning of the movie is actually the critic's home when he was a kid because the layout and everything's
Mhm.
close to it. So I don't know if that old lady is his mom, and that's why she has the cookbook. That's something I've heard about. I haven't looked too much
Interesting.
into it, but that could definitely change a bit of the story. Um, gosh, Ratatouille is good, but looking at our list of everything else, I'd put it at a B.
All right. I'll go next.
Because I think I do think Wally and Soul are better than Ratatouille. So,
Looking at uh that, but also like I think the movie is very thematically resonant. Is what I've been trying to say. It's very thematically resonant, and it's. I remember the theme of this movie more so than I remember the story. Though the story is pretty basic. It's just a rat and a human working together to cook shit. Um, and I'm also not the kind of person to put this in an S tier movie. Because I think the main one of the main themes that is in this movie is that like if you are too harsh a critic, you will eventually like start potentially losing your love in art. That's one of the other themes that's going in this movie that I really like. Um, I don't think it's a amazing movie. Um, and I think I'm gonna settle with a B because the rats built boats and shit like that, which is weird, but whatever.
Hmm.
all right,
I
Crimson, you
mean,
gonna sway?
rats float. Well, okay. I have it at a C. It's always been a Pixar movie that I don't care at all about. When someone mentions Pixar, I don't think Ratatouille. When they bring up Ratatouille, I'm like, oh, that's Snorefest. I mean, little harsh, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, I don't. The only character I really liked in it was the girl. Linguini was a literal and figurative puppet. He didn't have too much of a character to him, um, but Remy, what's the rat?
Remy.
Remy. He had the agency. I mean, he was all right, but I more subjectively, I'm not one to care too much for these like kitchen movies. like the
Kitchen
movie
movies.
Chef.
Oh man, you must be loving my book.
There's a whole thing on it. All right, the movie Chef, the TV show with what's his face from Shameless, um, and I don't know. It's always like high octane energy in the kitchen. You're super passionate about your craft, which good for you. I appreciate. I'm not into. It doesn't draw me in. Yeah, so
Ryder, can
I
we
guess
say
I
we're
mean,
see.
surprised?
I know I'm not going to convert anything. It's not my goal on this one.
Crimson's culinary palate. I'm
yeah,
not too
also doesn't
surprised
help.
on that, but
No.
So
Yeah, I have worked in a kitchen, and it is a very high octane environment, but it's more. It's then again, I worked at a chain restaurant, so it's not like everyone there was passionate. Everyone was just at each other's throats constantly. It's a very
yeah,
cutthroat kitchen environment.
yeah, I
So,
understand the setting. It's just not my cup of tea.
mm,
Sounds like you guys are pretty good on the B. So there you go.
well, I'm looking at these others. But Ratatouille, see for me, Ratatouille, oh gosh, there's Luca Coco. I think Ratatouille is pretty on par with Luca and Coco. I think Inside Out, Toy Story 3, and Up are better than Ratatouille. But in C, I think Ratatouille is definitely better than Lightyear. It's better than Turning Red. I think it's better than Monsters University, Brave, and Good Dinosaur. Actually,
so
In C, I think Ratatouille is better than everything in C except Onward. So that's why I have it at a B.
Okay.
And Ryder, you're good with a B?
yeah, I'm kind of settled on that. Yeah,
Okay, Ratatouille, a B. Sorry for you Ratatouille fans.
Well, I
go
think
go
B's
watch some more
good.
Pixar
I just
movies.
know a lot of
Um,
people really like
B's a
Ratatouille.
good rating.
I know that.
yeah,
Next,
yeah. B is a good rating. Yes.
number 7, we have Cars.
Life is a highway.
Yeah. Oh,
All night
this
long.
is a tough one with the list we have currently going on. Crimson, why don't you
Okay.
start?
So I battled between putting this in A and B. I think I decided B, but I could be swayed out. Um, it was a pretty good movie I watched in middle school mostly. I really liked Life of the Highway, hence why I sing it. Uh, I'm pretty sure it introduced a lot of people to that good song right there. Mater, he's the type of character that annoys me, but in this, uh, it was for a good purpose. It didn't annoy me. He didn't annoy me too much. I really like how they handled Lightning McQueen being like the cocky, awesome top tier racer and getting humbled, and I think they handled that very well. Everyone in Route 66 are unique. They play their parts. They're not like some side characters are just there. They're side characters, but they got their personalities. They got their niches, and the mentor, whose name escapes me,
Doc Hudson.
he was yeah, he was really good in this. Yeah, and kind of the third one, as Franks and I talked, he was kind of in it. Um, I don't know, just overall very good. I can't think of
Crimson, I got
really
a
anything
question.
that's
Does
okay.
Cars 3 make Cars 1 better or worse?
I mean, I divorced them. I don't think three affects anything to one to me,
Okay.
but one affects three.
Okay.
Uh, so what? Yeah, I can't even really think of anything bad. It's only just B because I know what else I have above it. That's
Okay.
it.
I guess I'll go. For me, Cars out of the Pixar movies is one of those movies that's it's just good. I just categorize it as a good movie. It's not a great movie and it's not bad. It's one of those movies where you sit all the way through it and you go, that was a good movie. and you get up and walk away. Uh, it's a tight paced story. I think all the characters have their time to shine. Even the side characters in Radiator Springs, they have their time to shine, and it's not a one and done. They come up again. I think the jokes are pretty funny. Um, gosh, the bad guy chick Hicks, he is a bad guy, but he's not like out for Lightning McQueen. He's just cocky. I like the kind of twist at the end where Lightning actually knows that winning isn't everything and helps the king of Dinoco cross the finish line because of the wreck of Doc Hudson, which is why I was curious about your feelings of Cars 3 because they kind of play off that same thing again. Um yeah, I gosh, A or B. I'd put it in B comparing it to everything else right now because it's a solid good movie.
Yeah, well, uh, to not shock anyone, Cars was a movie that I kind of came too late. I didn't watch it when it came out. I watched it like in when I was in my teens. Um, and I watched it kind of obsessively for a couple months. So I remember the movie. I remember really, really liking the movie. Um, but also I really liked the movie because I could walk away and I didn't need to like obsess over it. So like I loved playing it as background noise and stuff like that while I did other things. Because it is just a good movie. Um, doesn't necessarily have anything that stands out as overt flaws to me. I think it's still pretty solid. Um, and I also kind of would list it as a B. So
All right, that was
Oh,
pretty easy.
clean.
yeah,
Unless Crimson, you want to fight for that A.
The only thing I could say for it being an A is I literally can't think of anything bad about the movie. I think even the pacing is decent, so that would be it. But I'm fine
maybe
with it
maybe
being
the
B.
contrivance of the only bad thing I can think of is the contrivance of the fucking back door opening and lightning sliding out.
Of Mac.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I suppose so.
that's probably the only thing I would take away from it. But I get it's there to just
getting rid of your
progress the story.
sprains and yeah. Okay. All right, number 6. We have another fan favorite. We have The Incredibles.
Hey, that is my fan favorite pick for Pixar, Incredibles, because it's incredible. Uh, this was the only thing I had listed in S tier. Say that.
Oh, interesting.
It's
Nice. That's yeah. All right.
That's interesting. Okay.
yeah. So everything's great. All the characters are awesome. Syndrome is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And it's he Syndrome is smart up until he gets his wrist shot off, but
Yeah.
that's another issue, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, but up to that point, sending a bunch of superheroes to an island to test your robot to know you can't be stopped is pretty good for his objective of him being the hero. At that point, I guess you could have just killed all the superheroes in the first place, anyways. But nonetheless, it worked out for him really well, I think. Mirage, I think they did a good job of her being a worker and then getting turned against Syndrome. Not just because Mr. Incredible was nice and everything, but we got to see that Syndrome didn't really appreciate her too well, and I think that was good. The scene where the alarm goes off and Mr. Incredible gets shot is awesome. The way it's edited and it's pretty darn good. Edna, everyone loves Edna. I
And
mean,
this is a
even
meme, but she's
Jack
great.
Jack's good in this. In two, I think Jack is kind of like Baby Yoda, where they're just
Just
there for marketing purposes.
Also,
But
Jack
in this,
Jack's
Jack Jack's
powers
really good.
being just like anything and everything of, Jack of all trades, it's really convenient in Incredibles 2 of like just
yeah.
Oh,
for the plot. Like,
Jack Jack breaks everything in the
Yeah.
second one. he dimension hops,
In here,
and
it's just
Edna makes a
in
device
here, it's
overnight.
very, very more. It's much more believable and controllable. You know.
Yeah,
It's one
catches
end
fire. He
scene.
turns into metal. He
Yeah.
turns into a little gremlin thing. Laser eyes, manageable stuff.
Aside from Jack Jack attacks, the short.
Yeah. Frozone was is solid in this. Good pal.
He's
Just,
cool.
he, yeah,
Yeah.
freeze. Uh, there's just nothing in this that annoys me. I mean, I even like how they played up the marriage between Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible, where she thinks he's cheating, but he's just out doing hero work and stuff. It's all really good.
Yeah, and it eventually culminates them and all regrouping together. That's fair. Incredibles, I was one of my contenders for putting an S, uh, but I settled with my current two, and it just barely lost out. So it is a very high A for me. Um, I it is a very very tightly written script. I think from beginning to the transporting to the end of the fucking oh, what is it called? To for them up until they leave the island, pretty much. I think is amazingly well written. The script is tight. We have a full understanding of all the characters. The music's great. One of my favorite scenes is the when they first do their hero stance together as a family on the island, and the music picks up, and the kids get to kind of watch their parents be like absolute badasses for a minute. Was really really good before Syndrome
Don't you
interrupts
love how
them.
they did that in WandaVision?
Shut the fuck up.
Oh boy. Yikes.
Um, and I think ultimately the only thing that held this thing back from being S for me was the final fight against the robot, because it does some flaws start to creep through here, but I do think all the payoffs with each character is really well done. Even if I think the Syndrome losing his arm or losing his wristband is obviously one thing that I take issue with. Um, and mm, uh, if I am bringing Incredibles 2 into this, man, does it make this movie much worse? So I am separating the hell out of that.
As you should.
Um, yeah, and it is a very, very strong movie through and through. It has its legacy, and people were demanding a sequel for a decade and a half, reasonably so. We just hate the one that we got. Um, because it is a good story of this superhero family going from their like superhero golden age days to mundane day to day life, and then trying to recapture, at least in Bob's case, the days he used to have. And that's why he goes out with Frozen every night. So everything is very well constructed for each character. Everything's believable for each character. Even Syndrome's origin story, to a degree, might be a little too much, but it's still believable from his perspective. Um, and there's just a lot to love about this movie. So a solid, solid high A for me.
Gosh, this puts me in a hard. Okay. Well, I really like Incredibles. It's a really good movie. I like Syndrome. I keep touching on the villains. Syndrome is a cool villain because he still has that kid feel of when he was Buddy or Incrediboy or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
He still has that arrogance, and it's 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 such nicely packed that the reason he doesn't go out and kill villains is because he wants to be the hero. He wants to be the hero that his heroes weren't.
And that's why he's
And
probably removing them too.
yeah, and he Mr. Incredible's main thing to Buddy was I work alone, but also like you're a kid, don't get into this, you're too weak and frail. And Buddy, even though working with Mirage, is still working alone. And I like that feel that he's basing himself off of Mr. Incredible, but in a way that he wants, but he's still got the kid attitude because it's against Mr. Incredible this whole time, who doesn't really care until a certain point that Syndrome is Buddy. And Syndrome's so dark too that he's fine killing kids because he knows Mr. Incredible's wife and kids are on that plane. and he just like sends out a missile to blow him up.
Well,
He's
I'll
dark.
send them a little greeting.
Yeah, he's a dark villain. It's really good, and the smart of like even at the end, as Ray said, the little flaws here and there of defeating the robot. Mr. Incredible knows that the only way to defeat it is defeating itself after what he's been through. So it's not just an
Yeah,
out of the blue like, oh, hey, look, it hurts itself. Let's try that. It's like he
setup and
knows.
payoff.
Yeah. And then the ending of the Underminer, and then as the team, they're just looking at each other already with the masks on, already knowing going in, which just makes Incredibles 2 that much worse. Um, it's such a good ending. Gosh, it's hard. I'm gonna say originally I had this at an A. I'm thinking of putting it at an S.
Hey,
And
Uh,
Crimson, I think something that has swayed me in thinking this is the editing and cinematography of Mr. Incredible getting trapped in the bubbles. The just back and forth editing, really
oh, just the
good.
quick cuts.
When
Yeah.
they know something's wrong with the babysitter and they rush into the house and it's that point of view of them going through the front door to the kitchen, really good.
yeah,
It the yeah, I think I put it an S. And yes, I'm a little biased. It's also Michael Giacchino, and we know how I feel about Michael Giacchino, but it is a memorable score.
Mhm. Oh
yeah.
yeah,
I think everyone
absolutely.
can agree with that.
Not gonna hear it back to me. Like I said, this was up there on the S tier list. I just didn't. I just challenged myself not to pick more than two. So I'm content with it being an S.
All right, we have our first S.
Hopefully, the first of two.
All right, number 5, Finding Nemo.
Just keep
uh,
swimming.
I guess I
um.
can start.
All right.
Finding Nemo is a very it might mm, is a very well paced movie. I don't think they add any additional time not needed to a scene. I think the beginning is close to up about two people and something really dark and tragic happen, and then the continuation of the character, which is my connection of Carl Fredricksen and Marlon, and just being this overprotective single dad of his kid. And then it's kind of dark because if this was, normal human, this is kind of like Taken but for fish, because a daughter getting kidnapped but Nemo getting
Has
kidnapped and
to
then
be
that going.
added somewhere.
Um
If you
and then
find me, I will
yeah,
find you.
it works. And I like all the interactions that Marlin has with the school of fish and then the trench and the jellyfish and the turtles and Bruce and the sharks to get to, you know, Sydney. And then Nemo isn't just sidelined, he's in the tank, and the tank situation in a doctor's office, which is, I think, kind of creative of a setting to put
A
him in. It's not an
dentist's
aquarium
office.
of Finding Dory, yeah. And just all these characters are memorable, as we stated before when we went over Finding Dory. It's very good, and the ending is good. And Dory to this is kind of like Mater in Cars 1, is that annoying joke, funny character, but not over the top to you don't like them.
Yeah. It's not like she got. It's not like the annoying character's got a spin-off, right? That would be really weird.
No, it's not like Finding Nemo and Cars kind of went hand in hand in what they did next. Um, but yeah, Finding Nemo, I'd put it an A.
All right.
Uh,
I'll. Do you want to go Crimson or I can go?
I can go.
All right. This is a movie I have not seen in a while, so I'm still kind of. This is one movie I've been ruminating on since we started this tier list in the back of my head where it would sit. Um, it's right now it's in that weird middle child for me where I put Wally and Soul above this, but I still think that if this is a B, it would still be
The best B.
um not the best B because Inside Out's there, but the probably the best B out of outs with that being the sole exception. because there's not really much to say for flaws in this film. And we brought him up, or we brought up some of the strengths of this movie earlier when we were talking about Finding Dory, and I honestly think that one of the crimes of Finding Dory is we didn't get more of Marlin and Nemo's relationship, uh, because they're very very sidelined for that movie. Um, Whereas here, it's a lot of absentee relationship building outside of the beginning of the overprotective father figure kind of shtick that they have going. Um, this is a hard one. I think they do a lot of the movie. The movie's paced very well. I think all the characters are very strong. The memes are very very prevalent still today. Um, and yeah, I'm I'm content with either B or an A for this one. I think it's hard for me to pick one of the two, so I just might go where the majority is, unless I'm forced to make a decision by
Well,
Crimson.
I'm going to let you know you are going to be forced to decide because for me, it's a B. Um, I agreed with a lot of Spriggs's assessment, so I won't repeat it. The thing with me for giving it a B instead of an A is because I think it's a good movie, not a great movie. It's not something that I'd be like, you know what, I really need to watch Finding Nemo if I'm
Yeah,
watching Pixar movies. It's
that's
a
kind
good
of
one, but it's not one I want to go see like
yeah,
over these others.
that's kind of where I'm sitting at it with as well. It's why I'm hesitant to give it an A because I do think that the quality of the movie is just it's there, it's good. It doesn't inspire me the drive to want to go rewatch it. So it is a good movie, but it isn't amazing or great or groundbreaking. I'd probably list this as B.
Okay.
Then
Okay, because to me, it's like to me, I had that feeling of like connecting it to Cars One, of it's a well-paced story and it's a good watch, but to me, it's better than Cars One. So
oh,
that
interesting.
that's why I
Okay.
have it as
Yeah,
an A.
out of
But
curiosity, like what for you makes it better than Cars One? Like if you have any answers for that.
I like the Cars One doesn't go back and forth. Cars One sticks on Lightning McQueen and works just on a sole character of Lightning McQueen getting through. And to me, Finding Nemo, the pacing of back and forth of showing Marlin to Nemo, and you're not just constantly worrying what's happening to Nemo, where's Nemo going, or like is Nemo ever going to get saved? Kind of like focusing on one more than the other. It's evenly put, I think, from the pacing of giving Nemo as much time as Marlin to when they meet up,
Okay.
and both stories work. I don't think it's like, this one's weaker than the other. I think it's creative of what they use in the ocean of to get like what does Dory and Marlin interact with next to get them where they need to be. Is it the anglerfish? Is it the trench and the jellyfish? Is however it may go.
Mhm.
And then with Nemo is Darla's coming. How they're going to escape? Can they escape? Has anyone escaped before? The the seagull gives them their news, or the pelican gives them the news, and then it's kind of a scare, especially at the end when Nemo is with Marlin finally, and then Dory gets captured, and Marlin doesn't go, "I have my son now. I need to go. I'm sorry, Dory." Nemo's the one who goes in, knowing after what happened with the tank gang of swimming down to save Dory and all the other fish, and it's just this. They learn and they adapt, and to me that's stronger than Cars 1 because Cars 1, the only learning thing for Lightning McQueen is winning isn't everything.
It's a humbling experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
because to me,
I do think they're learning different things,
even
but
when
I get what you
Nemo
mean.
when Nemo finds his dad after all this time, Nemo still goes in to save Dory. He doesn't hide with his dad of fear of like being captured again.
Mhm.
And I think that's drawn to Nemo's character, especially with the lucky Finn playing out the whole time. So
All
that's
right.
why I had it in an
That's
A. But I'm okay putting it as a B. I do believe it's better than Cars 1.
okay.
So we'll put
Uh,
Finding Nemo at a B. All right. Number 4 up next. And I'd like to go last on this one if it's okay. We have Monsters
sure.
Inc.
All right. Crimson, you want to go?
Right. All right. Monsters Inc. This is a movie I watched a lot. as a kid. And I watched it with my sister a lot. My sister had a Boo doll. Yeah, that thing would not shut up.
Snow Cone?
Mike Wazowski. Um, but yeah, it's a very, very good movie. It's pretty quotable. Snow Cone? Uh, the villain, what's
Water
his name?
News.
Water Noose or something. Yeah. He was okay. He was had some threatening moments, but he was okay. The lizard, what's his
Randall.
what's his name? Randall. He's a good villain. He was a real threat in this, and as a kid, you fear for our heroes in this because of him. Randall's little sidekick buddy is whatever, but it's fine. There's good humor in this. I like Mike's relationship with the Medusa girl.
Cecilia.
Uh, yeah, it's a side story, but I think it's a welcome one.
Yeah.
Um, and the slug, maybe you can tell how recently I've seen this,
Oh, Roz.
but I remember
Roz.
pretty thoroughly. Yeah, Ross. Her attitude is great, and the reveal that she was kind of like the top boss of the cleanup crew or whatever. Or no, she was undercover or something. That's what it was. Uh,
She was
Great
number one. Yeah.
nonetheless.
No, she was the
Yeah,
head.
yeah. Great. The how they implemented the doors was pretty cool. I haven't gone at it with like an objective lens on how it would work in the universe, but it's cool. And the emotional impact of leaving Boo, not knowing if they'd go back, and then them rebuilding the door was pretty darn solid. So I think this is an A. As I mentioned, I don't have any other S's.
Um, that's fair. Um, oh shoot. Yeah, this is another one I've been kind of bouncing between A and B a lot. Because then we're the heavy hitters now. I'm bouncing between them a lot.
Yeah,
Um, I think if this goes into A, it's going to be my lowest A. Like between beneath Soul and Wally and stuff like that. And I'm content to put it in A because I do think it's a very very strong movie. I think the characters are very well rounded. They all have very very they go on different arcs. It goes from their day to day job and then them trying to realize they care about this little girl, Boo. And Randall is fucking terrifying when he needs to be. Um, Randall, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just this is my brain just fucking left. I think the kind of turning point of Mike being a comedian at the end, where they switch everything else, like to get their power, is kind of nice. I like it. And the sequel for once didn't ruin anything in this film. It adds a few more questions here and there, but we don't really fully know everything, which I think is for the best. Um, I think the world building is very, very subtle, as far as I remember. Like the overt parts of it being like 2319, the the codes when to arrest people and shave them and detox because humans are toxic or whatever.
been contaminated.
Yeah, and it is a very very tightly written film. It's the story of two friends learning to pretty much care for Boo. It's essentially to summarize the story up, and I think it's really nice. The villain has his moments, but he's not the best Pixar villain. Um, but I do think this movie is good, so I'm content once again for either an A or a B, and I'm leaning A for this one.
Well, after those two, I know where it's going, but for me, Monsters Inc. is an S. I love it, and it's so damn good. It's creative. It works so well of this whole world of monsters and how they function, and they don't rewatch like seeing it again. I realized if someone's contaminated, they don't die. They don't ever explain what happens if someone gets contaminated. What they do explain is if you step out of line, you get banished, which is what happened to Abominable, which I'm which I'm figuring could have happened to Bigfoot, Could have happened to the Loch Ness monster. Could have happened to any other human world cryptids that are from the monster world. I think
Yeah.
that's really smart. I think the door mechanics are really cool, especially how they're not set of door. I'm sure with the coding and the whole door area, it's probably set. I haven't seen too much on that, but the fact that one door isn't necessarily right next to the other door that's close in the human, like when they're in Hawaii and they go from one house to the other trying to get back, the Hawaii door is somewhere completely else than right next to the one they just came in through. And I
Mhm.
think that's
Mhm.
cool. I think Boo as a child, to be dealing with a child and not like someone who can talk back to Mike
It's a
and Sully on
toddler.
their ideas, or just keep worrying, or play a Forky character of always running away purposely, of trying to get home or whatever. Just Boo being a child and not afraid of them, I think is really touching. And it's also a nice connection that Randall is her monster, which makes Randall that much scarier to Boo, and better for Boo to step up and take care of Randall because of Sully. And it just ties it all so well together. The voice acting, I think, is phenomenal. John Goodman as Sully and Billy Crystal as Mike Wazowski are pretty much their iconic roles. I'd say as much as Tom Hanks and Tim Allen as Buzz and Woody. It's it's so good. That's why I have it an S. But after you two going, I guess it's going to A, and I'm okay with it going to an A.
That's fair.
And I don't know. I'm guessing it's tailored the way that Water Noose is spider-like because a lot of people have arachnophobia, to make him a scary looking villain, even though he's kind of soft. It's like one of those things where like a kid is scared of something, but the parents are always like, "No, it's totally fine. It's safe. It's harmless. They're nice." Which is kind of Water Noose. He's just a normal, nice guy, and
He's a
he's just kind of
businessman.
doing his he's doing his job, and he's not harmful until the end when he's trying to get Boo, and then he gets cruel and mean. So I just
Fair enough.
All
Uh,
right. Next up, we have our last fan favorite, which is mine. It's Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 is my favorite Pixar movie. I think it does everything Toy Story 1 did, but better. I my favorite God, there's so much I like. One of my favorite parts is the character arc of Buzz Lightyear from the first movie to the second one, and how he steps up, kind of taking the mantle of Woody as head toy to go get Woody back, much like how Woody not purposefully went to get Buzz and help Buzz get back to Andy from Sid. I
mhm.
really like that. Oh boy, the the introduction of new characters: Pete, Stinky Pete,
Stinky
Jesse,
Pit.
no, Stinky Pete, Jesse, Bullseye, and even Zurg, fitting and cool because it's not, and I guess Belt Lightyear as well. It's not
Mhm.
just tailored to Woody's new characters that he's with, and being interacting with them. It's also to Buzz interacting with new characters, and Zurg, who Buzz isn't really being altered and changed and knows he's a toy, isn't really cared about for Zurg, but Belt Buzz, who still believes he is this whole kind of connection, which I think is a clever way of showing more of Buzz's character via not of Buzz himself.
Mhm.
I think that's well done. Al, I have a slight, not personal family connection to Al, but Al has something that resonates with me that I'd rather not publicly share. That's okay, but I have a connection to Al that's just funny. And then as a character, I like this idea that he's just a collector to then sell for profit, which a lot of people do. So he's relatable that way, and he's just this bumbling buffoon. And oh gosh, to me, I like him more than Sid. Sid's just this cruel, messed up kid blowing up toys, but Al isn't. is more of the profit and to keep them in pristine condition. And
Mhm.
and I haven't touched on Woody. Woody thinks because he's shelved of being slightly broken is to me the reason why it works in this movie, not in Toy Story 4, but it works in this movie why he kind of thinks and gets manipulated a bit by Stinky Pete by, turning the TV on and blaming Jesse and all this, that he'd stay with them and not try to escape to go back with Woody. Or not to go back with Buzz, sorry, to Andy. That's what I meant.
Mhm.
And I think it just works that way. And then it, like Pixar movies kind of do, as we've seen, it ramps up to the end to something ridiculous where they're on a plane and have to get off of a plane. It still works to me. It's pretty cool and the mechanics of that. Um, Now, unfortunately, there are a little bit of things that break it. We don't really get to see how they get from the airport to Andy's house. We don't um, really. I mean,
Bullseye runs as fast as a plane.
Yeah, I don't think I have to worry about that. Bullseye runs
no,
as
no.
fast as a plane.
I'm more on the side of Zurg falling from the elevator and being undamaged and a totally fine toy.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, it's a toy from the early 2000s. That actually makes sense.
It could maybe.
That makes more
I don't.
sense to me than Bullseye running a plane.
Okay. Well, it is my favorite Pixar movie, but I'd put it at an A and not an S.
Really?
So interesting. So you had Monsters Inc. as S, but not your favorite.
Yes,
That's weird.
because
I guess I'll go
I'm
next
going
because
with a combination of both objective and subjective towards them.
Yeah.
I'm like half doing that, but I'm also like I'm just going off the cuff, you know. So I'm not really combining my objective. I'm just giving my honest thoughts. Um, in quite contrast to that, I suppose, Toy Story 2 is an S for me. Um, I think a lot of it was for me growing up. I really, I love Woody and Buzz. I think this movie does a good job of dealing, as you kind of already implied with their story. I'll kind of touch on the side characters. I think all the side characters are also very equally fleshed out, and it's just through minor capacity, like the green T Rex playing the Buzz Lightyear game at the beginning, um, and then him kind of helping to beat Zurg at the end as well in the elevator. It was a nice little payoff. The movie's riddled with things like that. Jessie's backstory and to how she ended up where she was, about just being
Very touching.
left behind, left behind one day. Because we all, I think, all kids have had that issue before where they've accidentally have left their favorite toy behind somewhere, and it's a very deeply personal. It can be traumatizing to a certain degree if you do that. So it's kind of sweet in a way that the movie portrays that it goes both ways to a degree. Um, because I'm
I'll,
sure
if it's okay,
her,
just to touch on just a little. Of course, Toy Story 2 is also an emotional payoff for me, another emotional movie, but it wasn't in the way of crying. It was me cheering. Then again, this was as a kid and younger, but it's still. I think it's the
yeah,
only Pixar movie here that I cheer at the end, like they did it kind of thing, rather than crying. But
um, yeah. Like I said, I only had two S's. This was the other one because I do think this is a very, very strong film. I think it's stronger than Toy Story 1, and I do like Toy Story 1. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this one.
all right, Crimson, what do you
Um,
think?
well, this Toy Story 2 is generally the masses' favorite Pixar film. It's usually on the top of most people's lists, and it is pretty high on mine. It's in the A category. I really thought you two would be S, and I wouldn't bother trying to talk you guys out of it. So it's a little weird that Sprinks didn't do that. I'm a little lost now, but I give it an 8, and I agree with all the objective stuff you guys have been saying. The reason I'm saying not S is a subjective one where I don't think it's as good as Incredibles, and it's not a. So I'm a person who, even if I like a sequel to something, let's say Toy Story 2, I have to watch Toy Story first, and that is why it's nice. If it was S, I wouldn't bother with the previous stuff, and I don't think there's any franchise that has done that yet. I mean, even in Harry Potter, obviously the first movie is not my favorite, but I would still watch it to get to my favorite.
And
That's
you
kinda
necessarily wouldn't wanna watch Toy Story 1 to get to Toy Story 2?
yeah. For it to be an S, I think it being a sequel, I'd have to want to just watch it by itself,
Okay.
and I haven't really done that to anything.
Something else I didn't touch on with Toy Story 2, which is also why it's so high. The animation change from the first two Pixar movies to Toy Story 2 being the third is so obviously seen of just how well in quality it has gone up. And Crimson, I guess
Yeah.
you can
Money
say
works wonders.
watching Toy Story 1 and then 2, it feels like 10-year difference of animation.
Yeah, it's a big jump. I guess Sprinks, since it's your favorite, do you still feel good with your A, or
It's
did
well,
writer push it S?
it's it's hard. It's hard for me because it is my favorite, and it's a movie I'd watch standalone. It's really good. And I think it's one of those better sequels. I do think it's better than the first one, but God, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you my reason is because I also use the Toy Story movies to kind of base where I would grade a lot of things. Put Toy Story 3 as B. I knew that going in. I put Toy Story 1 as A, and I put Toy Story 2 as S.
I
So,
did that, but down one.
Mm,
okay, interesting.
I'm gonna I'm gonna put it in an A. Toy Story 2 at an A, and I'll think about it a little. And when we get to the end, I'll see if it moves.
All right.
All right.
Up next, number 2, we have Bug's Life.
Ooh.
This one I have no idea what what you guys are thinking. I'll go first for it. Bug's Life. I'll give it B for Bug, and that is not the only reason it's a B. It's it was a good movie. I watched it a few times when I was young, but I have not seen this in a long time. Um, the antagonist of
Hopper.
Hopper. I kept thinking Flick. I'm like, no, that's the ant. Yeah, Hopper. He's a pretty decent villain. He's antagonizing. Um, the way he dies is good, but he's dumb. He's like, oh, it's just another fake bird, and then he gets eaten alive, or flown away, something like that. I don't remember which.
He gets fed
Um,
to the babies.
that's what it was. Yeah. Because he got fooled once by the fake bird. Now he thinks all birds are fake, I guess, even though it's very blatantly different looking. Put
To the
that
human
aside,
eye. Yeah.
he's in. I mean, insects have pretty good eyes. I don't know about grasshoppers. Um, yeah, Flick and the princess. Yeah, they're both good. The circus folk, they're all pretty unique. They got some good little gags between some of them. The caterpillar, I don't remember finding him that funny,
Heimlich.
but like I said, it had to have been like 10 years ago or more since I've seen Bug's Life. Uh, so
Only
it's
10?
at a B. I guess I could be swayed if people have strong feelings other ways. That's where I'm at.
All right, Ryder, you want to go next,
Um,
or should I?
I'll go next. I don't have much to say because I don't remember much of this movie. I remember really liking it. I think the movie has a lot to say about it thematically. There's a lot to say thematically. I'll go with that. I remember enjoying it a lot as a kid, but I don't remember much of it. And the fact that I don't remember much of it is an indication I wasn't interested in it as much growing up. So it's definitely a movie I want to revisit. Um, that being said, what I do remember, it's also probably in a Len in the B category for me.
That's all on that.
Yeah, I don't like I said, it's hard for me to kind of
Okay.
quantify that because it's been so long since I've seen it.
For me, Bug's Life is an A. It's a well told story, and it's one of the lessons that still sticks with me after all this time is Hopper at the bar saying throwing the one seed at a guy saying if that hurt, and he goes no, not a thing, and then he breaks it and they get
Yeah, that's what I
avalanched of
was thinking on
seeds.
too.
It's a good lesson that I really like. Hopper is a methodical villain and really like intimidating to the ants. He's not like going around just murdering people for power and like rules by he rules by fear, but in a very it's a lot of words. He uses words. And when words don't come out, he threatens with uh his crazed cousin, I think. And it I just remember this movie being really funny. There's a lot of funny jokes in this. Francis being like a ladybug, but a guy. Heimlich always wanting food. Flick yelling that in his uh, metaphor that a sea turns into a tree, but he's using a rock. It's really funny. It's just the beginning, the leaf falling and the ants confused where to go. I just remember it being really
Double
funny.
butterfly.
Yeah. I think it's dark. I mean, Hopper gets eaten alive. They joke around that they're in war by using jam as fake blood. It's kind of violent. There's like destruction and fire when the birds coming around. All the characters are unique. They stand out on their own. Flick never necessarily lies, if I remember correctly. He says they're warrior bugs, and they believe that they're like being portrayed as a act of warrior bugs, even though they're circus performers. And then Flick thinks he's like down to the level of a circus performer. That's why he goes with them at the end until Dot tells them to come back and gives Flick the rock of the seed that stuck with him to show that someone actually believed in what he was saying because he was the inventor the whole time of trying to make things more efficient. And it's just a really good, planned, thought out movie. And that's why I have it at an A.
Um,
But if the
still
two of
better
you are still at
recollection.
a B, but
Uh,
You probably have better recollection than I do, dude. I'm
do
probably gonna
we
defer to you on
know
that one.
where this movie takes place, Emily? That
where it
ever
takes
stated anywhere?
place,
Yeah.
um, no.
Okay. Because I'm thinking of the insects, and I don't think there's anywhere in the world where there's a ladybug and a Hercules beetle. That would be in a yard or something.
Well,
That's being very objective
yeah,
about it.
they weren't they didn't start in the art. The whole Bug City is where the circus
Yeah.
was, which was just bugs everywhere. But yeah,
Um.
I mean, if the two of you are still
I,
on B, going with writer's memory and
well,
everything, I mean,
Ryder and I don't remember too much, but I
oh,
remember me not feeling like it's an A. But you're more concrete on it than I, so I'm willing to go with you on it.
the thing that's just really helping me right now is just I just remember how funny it was. Like every other Pixar movie is entertaining in a way that like yeah they have jokes here and the story and everything. Bugs Life was just like joke after not joke after joke, but the jokes hit, and I still remember them. When they're and then they're always afraid of rain. Like the whole war was going on until
Yeah.
rain, and rain's a big problem. They lose the stick bug in a tree full of branches. It, just a lot of this stuff just it works for me. So I that's why I have it an A. But I mean it's for you to decide then, unless you're both settled with your memories being at a B, and then I'm okay putting it at a B.
Mm.
B
I
for
like the
now,
PS1 and
TBD
Game
for
Boy
later
game.
though.
Okay, the PS1
Yeah,
PS1
The
game
Game
is
Boy game.
that's not what we're voting on.
yeah, I'm probably listed as B for now, but TBD because I do want to rewatch the movie.
Okay.
I'll I'll go A and compromise for you on that one.
You'll go A?
Um, I'll go A just because you're confident in it.
Yeah, like I said,
It would probably be different when I watch it again,
yeah, like I
but
do defer to
I'll
you,
give it.
Springs, but for now, yeah,
I'll give
I'm
it an
content
A.
with being an A2. So
Okay. And with that comes our last pick, the first movie made by Pixar, first feature length film, Toy Story 1.
wow, that's only an hour and 20 minutes. No,
What, Bug's Life?
no, Toy Story.
Oh, Toy Story 1? Yeah.
What? Wow.
Wow, that's very packed script right there. Shit. Um,
I can start if need be because I know where I'd put it.
All right, Toy Story fan, go ahead.
It's an S. It's an easy S.
Figured.
Yeah.
boo.
Wait, more than two.
Yes.
Actually, I didn't figure that.
Yeah, that's why I said boo. I'm like, really? You abandoned me on Toy Story 2, but you're gonna do this for Toy Story 1, huh? All
We
right.
could discuss when we're after this
Continue,
anything that needs to move.
continue.
Toy Story 1 is I feel it's like I don't know. It reminds me of Coraline in a way, where the first movie of the production with Leica is the darkest, and then they got a little happier as they continued and like changed. Because comparing the story of Turning Red to Toy Story 1 feels like two different production companies. Two different companies made these movies, but they're the same, and it's just aged over time of the
Comparing it to
differences.
Lightyear, two worlds apart.
I didn't touch on
Really.
that. I don't want to touch on that. Anyway, Toy Story 1 to me is a dark movie. It's jealousy. It's Woody's murderous. Buzz,
There's a hooker in it.
yeah, there's a hooker joke. That's true. Uh, Sid is just Sid as a kid. For me as a kid, even though Sid's another kid, Sid scared me. Sid is a scary character, and I still don't feel comfortable necessarily with the character of Sid. He's a creep, just manipulating toys. And I guess that kind of fits with Toy Story 4 being worse. We've seen what happens when toys get altered, they can't talk. All of Sid's toys are other toys put together and they don't speak, but they're still sentient. And I don't know how that connects at all to Forky being made or whatever, but I'm just comparing the two.
Well, in Sid's yard, there was that army guy with like a nail in his head or something, right?
Yeah.
All the other army guys could talk, so I think they just were silent for no reason, really.
Oh, you think they
It
choose to
seems like
be?
they. I don't know why a nail through a head would stop a toy soldier from talking.
Well, I don't think the head for a toy, I don't think the head has to be like a
I think
human
it's a reference to the
anatomy.
guy who got shot through the brain and survived. That's what I think it's a reference to.
I mean, they added that for like the creepy factor of Sid and stuff.
Mhm.
Thing in universe, I don't know why those toys are silent because from what we see elsewhere, they should.
Yeah.
At least that army guy. I don't really remember the other toys from the backyard or anything.
There was the alien chew
The hooker doesn't
toy.
have a mouth.
No.
Makes sense. The
Well,
baby spider probably
yeah.
should have talked.
There's the Pez, the duck Pez. There's the
Yeah.
doll and the pterodactyl who got swapped. So yeah, there's a
I
skateboard
think
with a
anything
guy
with a
on it.
mouth should. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, one could argue RC with his grill mouth, but he doesn't speak. But okay. Uh, but yeah, Toy Story 1 is just the character of Woody in this one, of just being this up top toy on a schedule, make sure everyone's in their place, and a new toy comes in, and it's fine, but Buzz really just gets under his skin. And I'm guessing that when other toys are introduced, it's pretty easy for Woody to let him know, hey, you're a toy, this is Andy's room, and like discuss everything with all the past toys, since I'm guessing it's never stated, but I'm really guessing they're not all at the same time. That's why they prep for the birthday party and know what's arriving, or what to prep for, kind of thing. But Buzz just really gets on her skin, and Buzz comes to the realization he's not a toy, not from anyone else, but from himself when he can't fly. And just going off of that and his madness is Mrs. Nesbit, because when kids get toys, they name something completely else from what the toy is at times, and just staying to that. And but it's just a completely broken character as a broken toy, and just connecting all these things. And they think Woody murdered him, and then Buzz actually can fly, but it's falling with style, and just like all these connections and everything, just make it a fantastic, tight movie. And the characters just play so well to each other and bounce off of one another. But it's not a perfect movie, nor I think one exists, because there are some flaws. I most kind of fit on the animation, even though it's the first film, so I can't be too harsh on it. But Sid's dog is pretty weird looking, and
Abominable.
all the kids at Andy's party are
There are
altered
Andy.
versions of Andy. So that's kind of weird, but still, it's very tight. It's very well told. It's it's um it's cute. It's emotional. It still resonates. People still talk about it. They're still making it. Toy Story's still
There's a reason
big.
Pixar is still around.
Yeah, I'm like Ratatouille 2 is not coming out, but Toy Story 5 is. So stuff like that. I just think it's an S. So
Okay, so I'll go. I have this at B because I had Toy Story 2 at A. I'm I'm more than willing putting it in A as well. I don't think I could shoot it up to S because I think 2 is better. Um, so I guess I'll put Toy Story at A as a compromise position. Uh, I agree, it's very good. I like how Woody's pretty dark in it, where he tries to get rid of Buzz, um, get rid of air quotes. I mean, if it was realistic, he probably tried to kill him, but not in this instance, obviously. I like how the toys treat Andy, not Andy, Woody, once they see how kind of bad he's gotten. How he's been treating
Obsessed.
Buzz and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets growth through others and not just his own actions, which is nice. Buzz realizing that he is a toy is really, really good with the music and the slow mo. Him just looking over at his arm off and him not feeling anything. It's really, really solid. So, yeah, I think it's a good A, not an S from me.
Um, yeah, this one was pretty easy for me. I think Toy Story 2 is better, which is why that one was S. This is an A. I think the movie does a lot really, really well. But as we've said, Toy Story 2 takes what this did good and just perfected it. Um, I don't really have much to add upon what you two said. I do think it's a very good movie. But it doesn't quite reach the S tier for me, and I think part of that reason is I think the villain of Toy Story 2 is more interesting. Um, I think it's also more impactful in Toy Story 2 as well. Uh, and while I do love the existentialism in this movie, and that's what keeps it at an A, they do they do rush through some things here and there. But it is a very short movie and it's a very tightly written script, so I understand why they're doing all that. But yeah, solid A from me.
okay. So Toy Story 1 goes to an A, and that is all 26 movies gone through. So I'll go down the list. I'll say what's in what category, and then we can decide if anything needs to be moved. In S, we have Incredibles. In A, we have Soul, Wally, Monsters Inc., Toy Story 2, Bugs Life, Toy Story 1. In B, we have Luca, Coco, Inside Out, Toy Story 3, Up, Ratatouille, Cars, and Finding Nemo. In C, we have Lightyear, Turning Red, Onward, Cars 3, The Good Dinosaur, Monsters University, and Brave. In D, we have Finding Dory, Cars 2, and in F, we have Toy Story 4 and Incredibles 2.
Shall we just go in our normal order, I guess?
Well,
Uh,
I think we should cover the first thing that sounds like, and I'm fine with it, but I don't want to be tailored because of my preferences. But it sounds like Toy
Okay.
Story 2 should be bumped to an S.
well, I mean, that's where I felt it should go. Personally, like I said, I don't want to also. I'm not necessarily tailoring to your preferences. That's just where I felt it should
The
go. I
majority
don't know.
rule. If you
Yeah.
feel like it belongs there because you were on the fence, you can do that.
No, I mean I agree. I it's my favorite. I like Toy Story 2 is better than Toy Story 1, but it's not just the personal feeling of it. It's the fact that Toy Story 1 is what started it all, and it didn't start bad, and it works, and it's good, and it's solid, and things were built off of it, and the story and the characters work, and they continued on. That's why I had an S, and they did everything
I mean,
better in the second. Not everything, but they did a majority of things better in the second one to the first.
mhm. I'm yeah, I'll kind of spoilers for potentially doing this in the future. I would rank the original trilogy in Star Wars very similar to how I rank the Toy Story trilogy because I view it the same way. Where like yes, it's very good, like Toy Story 1, but just because it's where everything started doesn't mean it's the best of what they've achieved. Um and that's kind of why I made the distinction, at least in my head, as for why Toy Story 1 was an A and Toy Story 2 is an S. And the same reason why I think Toy Story 3 is a B. Um, they're all really good, solid films. I just think like Toy Story 2 is amongst what the best that Pixar has been able to achieve, and where Toy Story 1 is a good stepping stone for what they've done. So,
Um, I guess for me, towards that springs, it's just the difference between how you and I go things. Like you're taking into account stuff outside the movie. Like it's the first one, therefore it should be better because it what turned out well, being the first. I just see it as Toy Story. I see it as its own movie, so I'm rating it off of what we get, and subsequently by Toy Story 2 as well. Like I said, I ranked it originally lower than Toy Story 2 because I thought Toy Story 2 was better, but I wouldn't put both at S. Either.
Okay.
But as you guys have seen,
Well,
out of 26 things, I only put one in S.
yeah.
So
So
stickler
I'm fine.
for that.
Toy Story 2 we can bump up because
uh,
I'm in agreement. It's better than Toy Story 1. And for going off the tier list of technically of what I've stated before of going off the tier of comparing things, it would be above Toy Story 1 in that aspect. So,
all
All
right.
right, guess we're moving it.
okay. Now after that, Crimson, you said you wanted to go to the line if any changes?
Yeah, yeah. Ryder, do you have anything
I'm
you'd like to bring up?
I'm looking at this, and I'm actually kind of I kind of feel solid on everything else. Actually, um, obviously I can't speak to Cars 3. Uh, because this is an amalgamation. This is essentially an amalgamation of all of our opinions, pretty much. So for where everything is, I feel it's kind of we compromised wherever we needed, and I don't feel particularly strongly about any singular thing where I would argue for it to go up. Like, I'm fine with Wally being an A because three of us rated it, and um, yeah, I don't think I have anything to change. Actually, I think we did a good job.
Okay, Crimson.
Uh, yeah, I feel pretty good about the list. The only one standout to me right now, other than Bugs Life, which I said I need to watch again to give a actual
Mm,
solid answer to. I'm fine with it being A because I don't remember it too well. Coco being B,
but
but
that's
as we talked, it's
musical.
pretty
Yeah.
subjective problems to that, less the actual product. So what we have here, I think I'm actually pretty good with.
Okay. For me, the thing that's in my head right now with thinking is there anything I'd move two places? Like if something was an F, would I move it to a C? Because right now I think it's things are cemented fine if it's one away. Like if something's in B that I think should be in C, it's fine being in B. But if I think something
Mhm.
in B should be in D, should move. And only one movie out of all these to me is standing out of bumping two places, and that would be Onward. I think Onward would be bumped to an A. But after what's been discussed, it's okay being at a C, so I don't know if it should be bumped to a B. But I just think Onward's
I'm
better.
still sitting on D for that one. So
Yeah.
I think C is the best we're gonna get in agreement for that.
Yeah, Ryder, you said C is as high as you'd possibly be allowed to. So
Yeah. I like I said, for if you know for amalgamizing everything that we take in for each of us and putting it on one list, I do think this is a fairly good compromise for that list. So
No, yeah. Sorry, Sprinks. I think I got to keep it at
okay,
C.
that's the only one, and I think that's still on my personal feelings towards it and
yeah,
how it connected to me. But everything else, I'm okay with being where it is. There are some things I disagree where it should move a little. Like I think Toy Story and 4 and Cars 2 should flop, but that's fine. Yeah, I'm pretty solid with this list. I think Nemo should go to A, but we already discussed that. But yeah, no, I'm good.
all right.
Sweet. So
Uh,
that was our Pixar, our first tier list podcast of
yeah,
Pixar Animation Studios. Hopefully, this went well enough that people are inclined of wanting more.
yeah,
We have some ideas set aside of other things we could possibly do, of like flipping it a little on like ideas of what to tier that still work with the movie show around cheap seat critics.
mhm.
So don't expect us to start listing our favorite chip brands or anything. But
Yeah. Crimson, what is your favorite chip brand?
no, no,
Well,
no,
now that you
no,
mention it,
no cold open for the next one. Quiet, you. Stop it. Anyway, thank you for listening to this episode of the Cheap Seat Critics podcast. We really hope you enjoyed.
Yeah.
Ryder, if you'd like to go down the list of thanking everyone.
Oh yeah. As always, everybody, thank you for listening to us wherever you are, be it Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, no, Amazon, Google Podcast, Castbox, Pocket Cast, and Samsung. And as you know, we got our usual side on the YouTube side of things, and we got feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you like them. Because we appreciate some feedback every now and again. We'd love to read your thoughts.
Especially with this
As
one. This
always,
has
yeah,
26 things people will go over.
yeah. As always, I have been a geeky writer,
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks.
and we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.